Bingo.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome once again to the Shit List. Welcome. We're back. It's been a couple weeks. How's everybody doing? Welcome. We got Scribe Light with us tonight. How are you?
Doing all right. Thank you, Tom. How everybody?
Hopefully you're getting good grades and your future's so bright you got to wear shades. We also have CC Karaoke here.
Good to be here. First time here, actually.
Oh, that's right. You haven't really made the show until tonight. That's right.
First time caller.
And I didn't get you in the credits, though, so I apologize for that. I didn't even notice. My bad. Because I'm used to the regular crew here. But yes, we have CC with us tonight. Although if I'd have known you were joining us for the first time, I probably would have tailored the list to you. Like we would have done like soundtracks or something. But that's all right. That's all right. We'll get it next time maybe or some other time. But that being said, I'm glad to have you here. No, it's all right. I should have been paying more attention. Full disclosure, I've been sick for like the last, up until like yesterday afternoon, I started feeling a little better, but like I was sick for almost like 24 plus hours in and out of bed, basically, and that's it. Only had water all day Friday. It was horrible. So yeah, I apologize, guys, but I was a little under the weather. And yes, Sadie, I know. So yes. Anyway, we also have Brian with us tonight, aka that 70s rock fan. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, mate. How are you? Feeling better? Are you feeling
a little better? Not 100%, but doing a lot better than I was for sure. Thanks for asking.
Glad to hear.
Hopefully you're on the mend. I know you had your surgery a little while back here.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's done the trick, I believe. So healing well, walking well. Could be back to normal, whatever normal is.
Right. I love how I get sick for 24 hours and I'm making excuses.
But if somebody lets me know what normal is, I may try and get back to it.
Well, I don't think we cover that here.
There's a normal in Illinois.
Like, yeah, that guy down there. But I was going to say Andy with all that weird stuff around him there. Like, he's got a dungeon full of characters.
There's absolutely nothing about that image that scares me at all.
Nothing, huh?
Nothing. Yeah.
Wait till I add culture to the mix. He's on the block.
Oh,
is he?
Oh yeah.
It's just going to be a Cousin It doll, right? He should be easy.
How you doing, Andy?
Well, I'll tell you what. I am after watching that Bass Pro video, I'm absolutely ecstatic.
I think most guys should be at this point.
Like holy shit! Like that
everybody's now John Holmes because of that video.
Oy.
Poor guy. Poor man. I think he's a dude. I don't know.
He had to have been drunk
or something.
That was.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt that the water was very, very, very cold. And that's about it.
Yes, and the snakes were not in the bush. Yes.
He makes the 2-inch terror of mine feel like 10 inches of
man love.
Yeah.
Just take him out as your wingman. You're set.
Like, that's so bad that I've seen it everywhere on Twitter and they haven't even had to censor it or nothing.
Yeah.
First, I'm like, is that a lady who is now a man lady, or is that a very unmanly man?
It's a man, Dolores.
It's a man, baby.
Somebody reposted and said Leah Thomas has really let themselves go.
Oh, shit.
I was just dying.
Lord. For those who don't know what we're talking about, there's this, what's his name again? Bass
Pro
It's a Bass Pro Shops, right?
Yeah, Bass Pro Shops or whatever. Jumped into some big pool thing, naked as a jaybird, and got arrested. It's been making its way around social media. But as I said, it's not, you can't see nothing to the point where they don't even have to censor it. But I'm sure if Gary was doing something like that, we'd have to have a lot of censoring going on.
Sure, was skinny dipping.
Not as much as you think.
Well,
don't believe the rumors.
Just go with it, bro.
That's what she said.
Shrinkage.
Right.
There's a woman out there that's claiming she's the guy's wife, saying she's out there saying he what was it? He might not have the biggest part, but he's got the biggest heart.
Oh,
Wow.
Means
boy.
he's got a lot of money, basically.
Money.
Right?
Yeah,
Dude is loaded.
damning with faint praise.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
man.
dude is loaded.
Indeed. But hey, at least he had the balls. Well, he didn't really have the balls.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
Metaphorically.
Yeah, metaphorically. But anyway, how you been, Gary? I'm glad to have you back. How was your holiday?
I'm all right. It was good. It was relaxing. That's the most important part. So yeah, it's good to be back.
Good. We also have with us a globular at the bottom of the screen. You may know him as Toxic Man Flu. Some of
Hello.
you may have caught him over the holiday season.
Yes, I've been spreading. So,
You.
Did you get your flu shot?
I am in an industry where I have to get a flu shot. So yes,
So you're immune to yourself at least.
yes. But I turned down the COVID shot. So those are no longer mandatory. So
Well, that's good.
I
Well, we
won't
got a
say
couple.
anything else about that, YouTube. Just
Right.
leaving that alone.
We got a couple member chats here. Tripping Orc is a new member. Actually, he's become a maximum
Tripping
effort
Orc.
puppy. And usually when we have that happen here, we do a little video. So we got this one right. Where's my maximum? There he is. There he goes. So thank you, Tripping Orc, for becoming a maximum effort puppy. Just like this little guy. See, he can do it. And go. There we go. And strut. And of course, we had FKC 2000 or FKHC 2005 came in before the stream tonight, and I can't bring it up on stream because of StreamYards being dumb. Says I would also say a good underrated villain is Sir Edward Matheson, Stuart Granger from the Wild Geese. Well, there you go. Maybe he'll come up. Maybe he won't.
That's a
You'll have
good
to find
movie.
out.
I like that movie.
I've got 1 and 2. I haven't watched them yet though. And then for some reason, Brian has been here for 32 months.
For some
Nowhere
reason.
else to go.
I got no place else to go.
Nowhere.
Man without a home.
Nobody wants me.
Love lift us up.
Well, he is an officer and a sheep fucker.
He was tossing them over the
Hey,
fence.
wait a minute. I was never an officer. NCO. Never an officer.
And see how that's right.
Fuck that officer shit. I worked
He's
for
a
a living.
private.
I worked for a living. I was an NCO.
That's right. My dad told me that too. I was an E6 kid. I worked for a living.
I worked for a
That's
living.
good. But all right. So what we're going to talk about tonight is our top 5 action / drama villains, basically any Earthbound villains. So this would basically be no superhero villains, stuff like that. Now there's maybe some that kind of encroach the sci-fi side of things or what have you, may have been based on a comic book before, but we debated and decided that they fall into this category because we say so. And none of them are superhuman, so that was kind of the main thing. Or horror. That was the other thing we wanted to avoid. No horror villains, no superhuman villains. So basically our top 5 action / drama villains for this evening. And Toxic Man Flu is going to get us started here. And that looks like discount Frank Langella.
Yes, I'm not 100% sure who that is, but that is supposedly the Empire State Building. So, whatever. All right, here we go.
An impersonator too.
70s, you're up next, or up first. So,
Well, first, I thought you were going to go first.
well, I am because I have the
Alright.
power.
Well, let's get it over with.
I
Then.
got the power.
So this was an interesting category because you could have hundreds of different people. I mean, it's so difficult to think of.
Mhm.
And in fact, I did a couple of false start lists that I was told I couldn't do. And then I said, I'm not going to go for the obvious ones. I'm not going to go for the greatest of all times necessarily. I'm going to go for some interesting ones that I just wanted to talk about and I like. And first up, being a queeb, as in Korean weeb, I got to have a Korean movie in here. So 2020 Korean movie called Deliver Us from Evil. Action thriller, martial arts action thriller. Ray, played by Lee Young-jae, who many people might know as the lead guy in Squid Game, but this is a completely different role. He's a mysterious, brutal, and relentless killer, sadistic killer, but with a very seductive, evil charm as well. So
Just like that other Ray.
yeah, it's just like the other Ray, and he just absolutely nails this role. I mean, he's playing against Hwang Yong-min, who's nominally the good guy, but Ray was so good in this, they're going to give him a spin-off movie, even though he's the baddie. but he's absolutely relentless, but with a distinctive, seductive charm as well. And at one point in the movie, there's a scene where Huang Yongmin says, "Why do you keep coming after him?" He goes, "I can't remember. I've been doing it for so long. I'm just going to keep doing it." So it's a great movie, one of my favorites of the last few years, Deliver Us from Evil, and Lee Young-Ye as Ray absolutely nails the antagonist. So check it out. And that's about all I got to say.
All right.
All right.
Now we'll go to me. So I'd originally picked something that somebody else picked as a number one, so I took an executive decision, got rid of that. And I went with Professor Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes. So I'm a very big Sherlock Holmes fan. If there's an extended universe for Sherlock Holmes, just like there is, in fact, there's more books out there extended past what Conan Doyle did for Sherlock Holmes than there is for Star Trek and Star Wars combined in their extended universes.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a big part of my life when I was growing up. Did a lot of reading, read them all. Could not get enough of these. Ended up going to Agatha Christie and that stuff like that. But Moriarty is a supervillain. Really one of the first ones that came out as intellectual as Sherlock Holmes was in fighting crime is how diabolical Moriarty was in committing it. And he oftentimes did things to try and destroy his own government for his own profit. Just really one of the original
I was just going to say, yeah, he's kind of like the original prototype for a lot of the ones on our list tonight. So I'm glad he did make the list, actually.
So that's why it just one of my all-time favorites. I love all these. This is Basil Rathbone, who was quite the party animal in his time. You can in Duck Soup, Groucho talks about, yeah, we're going to party like we're at Basil's house. This guy would throw parties in New York like crazy. But any of these movies that you see, Moriarty was great, and all of the recent Sherlock Holmes versions that they've done. I thought he was real good in the movies, really good in the British series they did with Benedict Cumberbatch. All the characters they had there were good. So, like I said, he's the genius for a lot of the supervillains that are out there.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
All right.
All right.
Next up is Scribe.
David.
Yeah, so as a preamble to this, I didn't realize till after I made my list that I ended up kind of picking sort of villains that sort of fell within the category of sort of the banality of evil, but also none of them were sort of the mustache twirling, flashy type villains. And this particular villain for Mission Impossible 3 movie, Philip Seymour Hoffman takes what is a relatively small role, all things considered, in the film, and just elevates it to absolute sinister, inhuman villainy. If you haven't seen Mission Impossible 3, I think it's one of the better ones, honestly, because it is relatively self-contained. There's not a lot of overarching story elements from previous films, really. A little bit, not too much. But Hoffman, the character in this movie, he's not some supervillain trying to take over the world or something. He's basically just an arms dealer who has absolutely no motivation other than get his job done, achieve the objective, and go away. He's not there for personality. He's not there for quips. And when he's got Tom Cruise's character backed into a corner, it's absolutely chilling. If you know the scene I'm talking about, I won't give it away. You know what I'm talking about. It is, and Hoffman just pulls it out of the fire so good. And so yeah, that's my my first choice. A small role, not the biggest thing in the world, but very memorable.
Phenomenal choice, I thought, when I saw this. He's such a great actor, and we miss him in films.
Yes, a real loss.
Great choice, if I do say so myself.
And you do.
And I did. I just did.
Yes.
All right. Is Tom pressing the button to go next?
No, you are.
Oh, okay. All right, this CC, you are awesome for this pick. I'm just floored. This is great.
This was one of my all-time favorite movies, and I know there's a lot of villains that we're gonna not have because there's so many to choose. But I couldn't not do this because it's right up in my wheelhouse. I love how this movie it's a clinic on how you can film something so riveting in a small space. I mean, it takes place in one room, right? And our hero character is spying on Lars Thorwald, who you may know as Perry Mason. That's his most I suppose.
Also in the American version of Godzilla.
Yeah. And I guess what really strikes me about this particular villain is like he doesn't speak a lot. Like you don't see him like on screen in front of the main scene of the camera. He's not interacting with the hero for most of the film. You just see him from a distance, like you're spying on him. You see his body language, his movement, and you don't know his motivations, right? You don't know, did he do it? Well, spoiler alert, he did. We don't know why he did it, and we still don't really know why he killed the neighbor. Well, he killed the neighbor's dog because it might get him caught, but why, what pushed him to kill his wife? But I think what makes it particularly sinister is that he's the everyman. He is your neighbor across the street. He's a perfectly normal man who, he might be your coworker, he might be your friend, and you don't know that he's done these things. But his neighbor across the street's spying through the window.
Right.
And you can see that there's more than meets the eye. And I think he really sells the performance as well. Just
yeah, Raymond Burr is a phenomenal actor and a phenomenal human being, and the things that he did and the stuff that he did. He was in a part of Hollywood that wasn't really accepted for a long time, and then came out.
Now it's all the rage.
Yeah, it's everywhere. But I mean, raised orchids, had his own wine, all the shows he was in and everything, and helped start the smoking cessation thing with. He did a lot of great things for a lot of people and was a very kind man.
Well, there was this underlying thing that supposedly Hitchcock was like obsessed with him because he was just titillated with homosexuality, even though he wasn't homosexual himself, supposedly.
Right.
But yeah, like he knew Raymond was, and that was another reason why he also hired Anthony Perkins as well.
Yeah, and you're right, CC. This is a great performance all the way around. How he can make a film in a single room, and that's why I picked this picture. Yeah, because that stare just says it all in this film. And
he doesn't need to do it with lines. He just everything's about his body language, front to back.
I
and a lot of times you don't even get a lot of up close shots necessarily. A lot of it is just from a distance, but he communicates it so well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that he's in the movie Mi Familia. The father, through that, does the same thing. Communicates with his face without saying a lot. Those are real actors and stuff in there. So when you picked this, I was very excited. It was going to be on my list, but I decided not to because you went first. From there, so just phenomenal list pick. All right, Tom, you ready for the next one?
Yep.
My ankles still hurt. Gary's up next.
Yeah. I've taken my share of abuse from women since I was a small child, and this one really hits home for me. This was the first time I had seen Kathy Bates in anything. I remember seeing this movie in the theater when I was a kid, and it was pretty terrifying. Just reminded me so much of a family member, but very personal. There's nothing scarier to me than a really, really evil female villain. There's an edge to that a guy can only scare a guy so much. You know what I mean? But a woman can scare a guy in ways that he can't even dream of. So this one was definitely terrifying to me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I put Andy's icon on yours.
Sorry, yeah.
That's all right. Give Andy the plug. It's okay.
Oh, when they film with that sledgehammer and the ankle thing, oh my God. Because I broke my ankles a lot, a couple of times when I was younger. And man, that hurt like a son of a gun.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, and then watching it happen too, you see the feet.
They
kinda
actually
like,
tame it down in the movie.
Yeah.
In the book, she chops his damn foot off.
Yes.
Damn.
I was like, it's one of those things like when you're at the top of the roller coaster and about to go down and your stomach sinks. Every time I see, or even just see Kathy Bates in that look, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah,
Ugh.
she's definitely got that weird psychotic stare down, man.
Ugh.
She's got it down.
Didn't get out of the cock-a-doodie car.
Yeah, when she
Fantastic
flips
actress.
out, when she snaps, man.
Oh yeah, she's a great actress, and this is a great vehicle for. I mean, both of them really carried this off. Khan is he's a great actor in my opinion.
This is a great role for him because if you think of all the tough guy roles he's ever had, he's so vulnerable and helpless in this movie. So vulnerable, and that I think that helped too.
This is a great pick.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
he's
Sonny.
a tough guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a tough guy. I mean, he really is. He's a tough guy on the screen and off the screen, but in this movie, man, he was begging like a bitch.
Yep.
Rob Reiner directed it too. That's another thing that people forget. Yeah.
Oh wow. No wonder it has a simp in it.
Right.
Well, that's what I keep reminding people. As bad as he is, like, deranged with his politics, he has always kept him out of his movies because he's always been deranged, right? He just went from Nixon derangement syndrome to Reagan derangement syndrome to Bush derangement syndrome to
all the way through.
Exactly. So I mean, but he's always kept it out of his movies.
Yeah. Well, the one thing we ask, keep it out of the films, unless you're doing some.
Even the American president wasn't even that preachy in that respect.
That's true. Yeah.
Nah.
And we wouldn't have Spinal Tap if it wasn't for him. So
that's why I'm holding my fingers across for Spinal Tap 2 this year.
I hope.
That he starts shooting in April, I think, or February or April.
I hope.
That'd be great.
It's supposed to be out by the end of the year for the anniversary. So, but anyway, Misery's a great movie.
Pick. Great pick. Great villain. Still, I gotta get
one
off
of the all-time best female villains. Absolutely.
Yes, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Got that Lizzie Borden kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I got to get off of this. This is. I'm literally starting to shake.
Well, she's like a baby killer too. On top of it, we didn't even get into that part.
Yeah. No. Okay, so the next one is Andy, who looks a lot like Gary. Sorry about that. But his pick was Too Hot for TV. So that it's actually earlier up in the list. It will be very soon. And so let's move on next to Tom, who also, with his fifth pick, decided to choose something somebody else did a little higher. But it's not that far off. We'll get there. So that gets us back around to...
Well, we're back to me. Jeez.
You and...
Before you go too far into this, I just want to acknowledge Six sent us a super sticker. It was a Shiba dog doing karate. Thanks for the $5 super sticker.
Six.
She is working tonight, but she's still here in spirit. So thank you.
Can't believe it's my turn already. I was snoozing.
Now you get to talk about John Lithgow in a really weird English accent. So tell us, how does it rate?
Cliffhanger, which I just got the Steel Book of the other day. I love this movie. I've always loved.
Wait, the Steel Book?
Did
you say?
Book.
Quaylen. Eric Quaylen. Although John Lithgow's an American, he kind of set a template here for English action villains, action movie English villains, because they've got to be English in many of them. He is callous, sadistic, traitorous, merciless. He's so scary, even his own crew are scared of him. Like his own bad guys are scared shitless of him.
It's like working for Tom.
He bullies people. He's egotistical, self-absorbed, deceitful, manipulative, but he just chews the scenery up so well in this. And Lithgow, he'd done a couple of villains before with Ricochet and
Yeah.
Raising Cain, but yeah, he had kind of a record up to that point of being a bit more family friendly and maybe art house or whatever. Nice roles, nice guy roles, a lot of them. He absolutely, I could not believe how evil he was in this. And he's got, despite his sadisticness in it, he's got some great one-liners. You know, kill a few
Yeah.
people, they call you a murderer. Kill a million, and you're a conqueror. Go figure. You know,
Yeah,
the
there's
way
some
he
great
delivers
lines. It's
it.
a good film.
Yeah, he's great. Just
This movie's a lot of fun. I'm glad you
Yes.
picked this. He's really good in this movie.
He is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now I
amazing
picked this picture for a reason. That's a 50 cal Desert Eagle.
villain.
Okay. And the way he fires this off with it right in front of his face like that with his left hand, he doesn't have any brace or anything. If he were to actually fire this thing with an actual
Off in the
round in
face.
it would take out his face. Because it would just come back and it would go right through his nose and all that stuff from there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it would hurt.
that would hurt.
It's funny this is set up above the snow line because he's cold as ice in this. It's
Oh, how long you been waiting to say that? That was good.
absolutely- he's willing to sacrifice his love.
Toxie, do you have one of those 50 cals?
I did, but I don't anymore.
Now, isn't that the base for RoboCop's gun, or am I thinking of a
Yes.
different one?
No, that's a Beretta Auto 9. The 50 cal is
The 92?
No, Beretta Auto 9
Auto
is the
9,
RoboCop.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The 50 cal was made kind of famous in The Matrix.
Right.
But
jam a
I have
lot.
one. Yeah, I have one. It's a lot of fun, especially with one hand.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, don't hold it so close to your face.
Not like that. I mean, yeah. Okay, I get this. When I was looking at this, I'm like, that's like 3 inches from his nose.
Yeah. It could be the lens too. It could be,
Could be the
pulling
way it is
everything
done
in
there,
closely. Yeah. But yeah, Lithgow is a spectacular villain. This is a good choice.
He's just a good actor.
He's
Yeah,
terrific.
it was such a
He can make
revelation.
any part great.
If you look at what he did in Twilight Zone and then you look at this, talk about polar opposite,
yeah.
psyches.
It's a character so well played that you love to hate him. You just
Oh, yeah.
can't get enough of hating him.
Or he can ham it up like he does in Santa Claus the movie, which I mentioned on my Christmas list. Where, I mean, he is clearly just he is in a cartoon in that movie. Like he's in a different
Yes.
movie than everybody else at some points.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he is.
But like, no, he's great. And then you can have him in like Planet of the Apes, the Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Buckaroo
one where he's,
Banzai.
Oh, Buckaroo Banzai.
Banzai and
Oh,
stuff
man.
like that. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I liked him.
he's all
another
over the
great
place.
role.
He's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving along.
All right. Next up is my pick.
Ooh,
This was Tom's number 5. Hans
that's
Landa.
a bingo.
Isn't he a Formula One race car driver, Hans Landa?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Mhm.
Yeah,
But-
I mean,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go for it. Inglourious Bastards is one of the. It's just a great film to me. It was campy, but man, it introduced me to the actor, and what a powerful part. He's been in so many things since then where he's been so good. The Django Unchained comes to mind, and just it. In the end, spoiler alert if you haven't seen this film after 10, 15 years. He's so shocked. He goes from this cocky guy, especially at the beginning of the film, so sinister in the way he talks to that girl to find out where the family is to kill them. It just so sinister. And then to see the character arc go all the way to the end where the Americans get the best of him. Oh, sure, you've made a deal. You're going to go live somewhere, blah, blah, blah. But everybody's going to know that you're a Nazi. And it carves that shit to his forehead. Just amazing. But go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, no, I mean, Christoph Waltz, I mean, with this role here,
Just amazing.
just blew in, like out of nowhere, even though he'd been acting, I guess, for years in Germany or whatever. But that was, the keen eye of Tarantino to find this guy and go like, this is it. This is the guy to play this role. And not only that, he quickly became one of my favorite actors on the scene now. Every time he pops up, I'm glad to see him, like you said, in this and Django, and he's even in that the sci-fi movie that Robert Rodriguez, I forgot the name of it now, with a girl robot thing. Shit, the one they
Alita
keep on.
Battle
Like,
Angel.
yeah, thank you. I mean, anywhere he pops up, he's a great performer. He's one of those guys, and he's one of the reasons this list exists, because he's one of those bad guys that you love to hate, right? He is so brilliantly evil. I mean, it's such a great scene that they directly rip it off in Star Wars Rogue One, right? I even started my review of Rogue One, and it's well, I just got back from Star Wars Inglourious Bastards. like that, it's basically the same damn movie at the end of the day. But it's a brilliant film, and he's a main key element to it. And I agree with you wholeheartedly that, yeah, I mean, you couldn't have found anybody better to play this kind of a role. And I can't wait to see more out of him in the future.
He was in a Bond film, wasn't he? No Time to Die.
I think he was in one of the last ones here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he plays Daniel Craig's Blofeld.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, not very well utilized as far as I'm concerned. But
yeah.
Well, he was in the 2011 Three Musketeers film, which I understand it's the 2011 Three Musketeers, but he was Cardinal Richelieu, and I thought he did a good job in that. I've been a big fan of Edmond Dante.
I have that, but I haven't watched it yet.
It's okay. He did this. He did Inglourious Bastards. He did The Green Hornet. And then
he was good in that too. That's right. Yeah,
those
one
things
of the
there.
few good things in it.
Django Unchained is just a phenomenal film, of course, right? But you can just tell his character is on the same. They're on the same wavelength, and they're on the same page doing that. And it just, I like when phenomenal actors like this get parts and have fun. I mean, he was in a Muppet movie.
True.
So it's like, he doesn't take himself seriously. He takes the parts he enjoys, and he goes out and he has a good time. So, all right, I'll move on. I could talk about Hans and stuff forever. Yeah. Scribe, what a good pick.
Scribe with Karen Crowder from Michael Clayton.
Yeah, this is kind of an obscure one, and again, I kind of go banality of evil kind of thing. This is Tilda Swinton plays a distant villain in this movie. I don't think I'm spoiling much of anything, but it's one of those instances where you have somebody making minor decisions 7 steps removed from their consequences, and it's so detached from morality and humanity. And again, there's no mustache twirling. In some cases, even at the very end, you might almost have some sympathy for her, based on the situation she's put herself in, but ultimately she's just without any heart and without any morals whatsoever. And Tilda Swinton gives a very nuanced and very psychological performance. Even though she's not in the movie all that much, she's like one of the driving forces of the plot. When you see her and you see the amount of stress and pressure and her mind working as she's trying to get herself out of the trap she's in through her machinations, it really is. I just one of the only things about that movie that really sticks out to me, because overall the movie's it's okay, but her performance as effectively the villain is great. Now before we move on, I'm kicking myself because just like with everything else, and I made sure I checked the list so I'm not spoiling anybody else's things. There's a character I forgot that should be on this list somewhere in my 1 or 2 spot, and that's Vincenzo Carcati, Christopher Walken's character from True Romance. I cannot believe I didn't think of him. It is hurting my mind.
Yes,
that scene with him and Dennis Hopper.
Tarantino, man, is like I could have filled this whole list up just with his bad guys alone, right?
I know. I don't want to take up too much time because I got everybody else's stuff, and I didn't put him on my list. But I got to at least give an honorable mention to that scene with him and Dennis Hopper. Is one of the greatest individual scenes in all of cinema history. I swear to God, every time I see it, it just gives me chills, and the performance is great. So. Hats off to Christopher Walken for Vincenzo Carcati. Anyway, I'm done with mine.
No, yeah, there was a lot that didn't make I wasn't able to work onto my list, or I'd be like, okay, well, that falls into more of another category.
I know we're all over the place, and it just but anyway, but if you haven't seen Michael Clayton, it's a good movie. I mean, the guy who suddenly name I forget.
Kevin Costner, wasn't he in it?
No, Kevin Costner. No,
no, George Clooney.
George Clooney.
Kevin
The
Costner.
The other
Yeah,
one.
George Clooney. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting premise, and there's a lot of
That
there's
other
a
guy
mystery
was
to it.
popular in the early '90s. I
Well,
can't remember.
I also have to give at least a moment to because he just passed away. Tom Wilkinson is in this,
Mhm.
and he
Oh,
gives.
yes.
And honestly, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
this is a movie where, as its sum total, it's all right, but as individual performances, you couldn't ask for better. Wilkinson gives an amazing performance as sort of the impetus for the entire situation.
Right.
Swinton is the villain. Clooney's Clooney. I don't think you see that's a problem with actors like Clooney. You get a movie with George Clooney, you're
I
getting
barely
George Clooney.
remember this movie. That's the problem. I was getting
Yeah,
mixed up.
I know.
Nominated for an Oscar for this?
Oh, I think there might have been some nominations in there.
Nomination for something.
Mr. Brooks.
Yeah.
That's the one I was getting
missed
crossed
Wilkinson.
over with.
Wilkinson
Yeah,
was in
Mr. Brooks is different. Yeah, but
Wilkinson
anyway,
was
yeah.
in a movie with Vince Vaughn
yeah.
where they were trying to pitch and build a business and all this stuff. Vince Vaughn went on his own. He was such a good actor.
Yeah, Wilkinson is great in this. Individual performances are great. The movie itself it's all right. But if for no other reason than to see the performances by Swinton and Wilkinson and just the overall, it's a good story that could have been executed just a bit better. That's all I'll say about it. Otherwise, so yeah, I'll stop here.
All right.
All right, moving on to
Moving right
CC's
along.
number 2.
Yeah, this one has almost crossed the line, but I think we let it
Yeah,
slide.
I was kind of bent the rules a bit, but we said human earthbound villains, right? And
Yeah,
I-
but we're supposed to avoid horror. But I would see this as more of like a horror,
Psychological
satire
horror.
kind of thing, weird thing. I don't know. It's
It's
different.
yeah, it's not Jaws, right? We can't do Jaws. That's fair.
It's exactly It's not quite Psycho either, which would be the other one that falls into like horror category. But it
I-
is something,
I would say the majority of the horror really just comes from his performance.
right?
And it's ridiculous that he didn't get nominated for this because his performance is just fantastic. I mean, he's frightening. And I don't know that the movie would work otherwise. I know that the words are kind of obscuring his eyes there. But my
Oh,
favorite.
sorry.
So it's fine. My favorite scene from the movie. I mean, there's a lot of great scenes from the movie, but it's his morning routine sequence where they go through and he can just how calculated he is, how orderly, regimented, and everything has to be in its proper place. Like how cold, clean. I mean, you just see him like he's literally pulling off the mask. Not just the physical mask that he's pulling off that he, put over his face, but he's pulling off the mask of the character beneath him. But there is that aspect of him where when the time comes, right, like he is prone to going off the book. And when that blade comes up, there is there's suddenly that completely level-headed, emotionless, cold figure just becomes filled with such joy. And I think it's also the way that the movie's filmed, right? Because the movie's filmed with very, very bland color palettes. There's a lot of white, right? And then when it gets to the scenes where...
Well, it's kind of like a satire in a way. That's why I kind of let it pass.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not
it is.
exactly. Yeah, it's almost shot more like a comedy in a lot of ways too, which is weird.
It is funny.
Yeah, I mean,
Where he's
it's
playing the Genesis album for the dude.
yeah.
Gotta return some
That part's
video
great.
games.
He's like,
It's like
so great.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Scream. He's not wearing he's not wearing an actual mask, right? It's not Jaws. He's not a shark. He's not an animal. Yeah, it's just a really, really funny, but also frightening satire drama with just a really, really frightening character in it.
Yeah, having read the book. Oh, what?
There it is.
What about the book?
I was going to say, having read the book before I saw the movie, it really was the only way you could do that story on a film is to have a gallows humor tongue in cheek with it, because the book is just so ridiculous. I mean, it's frightening and scary and disturbing and everything, but it's so over the top that the movie is about as perfect an adaptation as you could probably ask for from the book.
All right. Anybody else got anything out of there? Otherwise, we can move along.
Good choice.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, let's grab this super chat real quick. Nick the Greek sends in a $1.99. Says Captain Vidal from Pan's Labyrinth was truly evil. Well, that would be a good one, but no fantasy villains tonight either. That was one of the other stipulations. No. So
We are going to do, though, villains from fantasy and from.
Oh, yeah. That was kind of
superheroes,
why
all
we
that
were.
stuff. Yeah.
We're trying to keep it to where we have room to do more lists. We didn't want to keep it so broad that we, shoot our wad on one list.
Yeah, there's 100 that I passed over.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't fit the action.
Well,
genre.
here's a spoiler. Like some people brought up Shredder in the chat earlier. Now I would consider him a superhero villain because to me, Ninja Turtles leans more into the comic book superhero realm. That's just my opinion of this situation. We tried to avoid sci-fi / fantasy superhero villains as much as possible, with a few minor exceptions that we'll get to. When we get to them, we may explain why they made the list instead of the other ones. But all right, moving on. What do we got?
All right. Next up is Gary with I love this film. Great pick.
You know, when I was younger, this really was the least favorite of the Bond movies for me. But then as I got older, it really grew on me, and it was mainly because of Michael Lonsdale and his performance. Hugo Drax, man. I always dreamed about being Hugo Drax since I was a kid. I fantasized about being a Bond villain. I never fantasized about being Bond. It's like, boy, I wish I could build a space station and eliminate all life on Earth. Wouldn't that be great,
girls
Mom?
in gold.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Lonsdale has some great dialogue in this movie, too, and his voice is amazing. Yeah, I just love him.
I just realized he kind of looks like Leonardo DiCaprio's chubby older brother.
Yeah, kind of. Maybe his uncle or something.
Maybe, yeah. Just from here anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me.
Yeah. This is a fun one. I watch this one a lot. One of my favorites of the Roger Moore Bonds.
My name is Bond, James Bond.
At least I shall have the pleasure of putting you out of my misery.
Great line.
Yeah. I mean, we could almost do a whole list of top 5 greatest Bond villains in a way, but I
kind of already did that, but
yeah, that's kind of where I left this list is kind of where I was leaning, Bond, action villains, that kind of thing, with the exception of a few drama ones.
Well, the whole space themes and that you saw in the Austin Powers films came straight from this.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I always thought they should have named that movie Moon Randy instead of The Spy
That
Who
would have been
Shagged Me.
great.
It kind of
Dolly had
wasted a great
braces.
title on that.
It should have been called Dolly Had Braces.
Yeah.
What?
Should have been
I put
called
that in the
Dolly
intro
Had
just to
Braces.
piss you off.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Dolly Had Braces.
You got the wrong part of the film in the intro there. I don't know.
Both, it doesn't matter. She don't have braces in the movie.
At least I spelled villains right. After
You
somebody
did
told
or
me
you
to spell
didn't?
it
I looked
wrong.
it up
I
and
don't
they
know.
spell
I
it both
spelled
ways. It doesn't matter, I guess. I
Well,
guess
I'm
one's got to be a
spelling
snooty British way and the other way's got to be the American way, I bet.
Those damn British.
Up here in Canada, we put U in front of or behind all our O's.
Well, I looked it up. It can
why.
either be AINS or IANS. It doesn't matter, I guess. And I couldn't find any
Movie?
different variation.
Movie?
No. Villains.
Oh.
Yes, I did spell movie correctly. That is a
This
challenge for me.
Actually,
Not
I think
in
there's
Canada,
at least
though. There's supposed to be
there's
a
at
U
least
in it.
one misspelling,
Yeah,
I think, in here. So eventually we will have enough
Yeah.
for a drinking
That was
game.
my fault. That was my fault.
Doesn't matter
It's
whose
not
fault it
me.
is.
It's
I
just
think we
misspelling.
just start a drinking game off of that. Yeah.
All right, we'll
All
go
right,
on
what do
to
we got?
great pick. Andy's number 4.
This is a good one.
Yes.
It's kind of one where you kind of almost figure the bad guy wins in the end, kind of.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Called
Is
it.
Andy still here? Oh, there he
This
is.
guy was absolutely chilling.
So you fucked up every one of Andy's and Gary's.
Yeah, I switched them all. Yeah. I made the
That's
initial
funny.
mistake and then propagated it throughout the rest of them. So it's
That's right. It happens all the time in Doomcock's chat. People refer to stuff that I say to Gary, and people to stuff that Gary says to me. attributed all the time. It's like,
Yeah, we get mixed up all the time. I think that's strange because, I don't think I look like an old man, and I don't think Andy's handsome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Given that
agree with
Andy's
both
not
of
in the
those.
room with me, I agree with you.
this guy is absolutely amazing. I mean, when he, I heard somebody say one time, I think it was a psychologist or something. He said that this portrayal was the most convincing of any psychopath he's ever seen on film.
Wow.
And I mean, he's absolutely, you get this impression like it's just completely immaterial whether or not he kills you or not, and doesn't care, and is completely emotionless about it. It's doesn't take any joy in it, and just I couldn't take my eyes off of this guy when I'm watching him go through these paces. He was absolutely terrifying. You picture meeting with somebody like this in real life. Well, Gary may have, because he worked in Hollywood, but that's another story. But yeah, this is really an amazing film, and he captured. I don't know that anybody else could have pulled off this part like him.
No, I agree with you there. Nobody but he could have done this.
I watched that
scary
scene.
as fuck.
I watched the very first scene of him in the gas station quite often.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting scene.
And the
I was
cattle
just
prod
reading
thing
that
or whatever.
guy, you don't
Yeah,
know what
the
you're
cow
talking
killer.
about.
Yeah, there was an observation. I forget who said it, but they point out that over the course of the film, he constantly has to distance himself from making a decision. He has to insulate himself from being the one responsible for something, and that's what the coin flipping is for. So he separates himself from making a moral choice or something. He just allows it to be on fate's hands rather than his, which is kind of a really weird but interesting character element.
Yeah.
Yeah, really creepy dude.
Yeah.
The
Heck
hair,
of a
the
good
hair was
gun he had, too.
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And the look.
Yeah.
And the smile and the look. You pull his head back a little bit and look down while smile. It just, oh, man.
Yeah.
Scared. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this movie launched his career, man.
Oh,
He's a huge star. One of
One of those movies I
ever.
saw once and never needed to see again.
Oh man, it's so good. I could
It's
watch
great.
this movie.
It's just unsettling
time.
for me. It's too unsettling.
You have to wonder what Penelope Cruz thinks when he comes home from work. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's like
Call it.
she puts all the coins in the bank. Like, there's
Right.
nothing around. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Terrifying.
You ready?
We're ready.
This is
Oh,
Tom.
I want to welcome all the Raiders, by the way, from Valiant. Yes,
Oh,
Bill
darn.
from Kill Bill
Made a
1 and
mistake.
2. That's all right. Looks cool. Yeah, I mean, come on. He's the driving force of the whole movie. He's one bad bastard. I mean, like I said, I could almost made this whole list Quentin Tarantino villains, which is sad. I mean,
Right.
I almost should have just tried to say no Quentin Tarantino, so we could save that for later. But no, Bill is an amazing fucking villain. Another one you love to hate. He's charming, just like Hans is, but he also is a vicious bastard, right? Like, and he even uses those words to refer to himself. Like, I mean, one of the best scenes besides the end of the film, which is great, is the scene at the wedding, just before the wedding, and just that conversation between him and B, and how it all, you kind of tense the tension you feel there, and you just think he's like, no, I said I would try to be nice, not sweet or whatever, and stuff like that. And then just what happens afterwards and how he leads that whole thing into the, the murder of her and his unborn baby and shit. At least at first from, first glance, it's just that guy was that cold and calculated to do this. And then you go back and see all the stuff they've been through together. And it's just like, damn. And he deserves every last fucking thing he's got coming to him too. But he still is charming, isn't it? At the end of you still feel bad when he dies. You're still just like, ah, damn. He's just one of those fucking great villains of David Carradine. Just, I mean, I think this is probably his greatest performance ever. Even doing the least that he really does in the movie, because he's barely in the film. In the first film, he's not even really in it all that much at all. And then the second film, I mean, he's there, but he's not so much until the end. But I mean, it's just, he did a great performance. And of course, just one of my favorite villains of all time. Just great. His Superman speech is great too. I don't care what script says.
Nah. I think when she does the 5-finger death punch on him and he gets up and walks away and does all that stuff is a great scene. I mean, you almost forget that he
That's what I mean.
Himself.
That's what I mean. It's like he's such a cold bastard. You still feel bad though when he does it because he just stands up so nobly and takes his punch. You know, you're like,
it's still a good versus evil film. Only it's the good versus evil, right? So she's not innocent in any of this. She's a cold-blooded killer herself. But you root for her as the good bad guy? I don't know.
He is a good dad, too.
Yeah. And she was very good in this, Uma Thurman. And all the fight scenes that were really good. This is a good set of films. Really liked them.
Indeed. So, yeah, we can keep rolling because I know we got a lot to go and we're already at 9 o'clock.
And here we go. So this was 70s. Number 3 is Alex Forrest from Fatal Attraction. That was Andy's number 5. And also My Second Marriage. So there you go.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Or a woman with a knife.
And it describes Alex Forrest in the villains wiki as having borderline personality disorder. Nah, she's way over the border.
She crossed that border.
Well, it's mixed with something else anyway. Yeah, definitely.
She crossed that border a long time ago. Absolutely batshit crazy, insane character and performance. Chilling and scary at the same time. There was talk at the time that it was an allegory for things like sexual diseases and so on. And there's all just whatever it is. She's like a disease that you can't get rid of. It's an infection you can't cure.
Ann Archer cured it.
Ann Archer cured it in the end.
She sure did.
Yeah, that's where I first learned the phrase, don't dip your wick in crazy.
That's right. She's genuinely scary and brilliantly played by Glenn Close to make it so, you know. Just, I bet a lot of guys were watched this rather nervously.
I heard there was a different ending to this movie.
Really?
There was.
Wow. I heard another ending. Yeah, well, I heard that it was someone else that got shot.
Why was Alec Baldwin in this one?
Oh no!
So Alex, I think the original ending is Alex tries to frame Dan for murdering her.
Okay. I thought Ann Archer shot Michael Douglas.
Ooh. Well, that would be acceptable in any movie, but no, I don't
know if there is or not, to be honest with you. But yeah, like this is a movie I think every boy should see before they start dating.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every like 13-year-old boy should be sat down and go, son, watch this movie.
It's scary, genuinely scary for a film that isn't a horror film. It's just like kind of a drama thriller. Scary.
Yeah. So if any of you do have young boys and they get to be around 11 or 12, you should hand them a box of condoms and say, son, they have teeth, and then sit him down to watch this film. And then it will all come together in that child's mind, and they will understand.
All I can say is that sheep can't handle a knife, so just remember that. Okay?
Oh, that was good. That was such a bad
That's a very good
joke.
point.
Are you sure?
He's got a point.
Oh,
I don't have thumbs.
I had to look behind me just in case.
Just in case. That's what I need Jaffa to do, an image of you with a sheep with a knife coming behind. Great pick. Yeah. All right. Anyone else before I?
No, I think it's.
Well,
I think
what I found interesting with that.
Oh shit, that's right. It was also on Andy. Was it on Andy
as well? Yeah.
Andy's. Yeah, that's why I wanted to.
Sorry about that, Andy.
No problem. When I was watching this, like back then in the 80s, you saw like I think this was 80s, right? And
yeah, like 86, 87, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the women on screen were absolutely breathtaking, and Glenn Close is not. She's not the like your typical like, oh wow, she's absolutely gorgeous. She's got a peculiar look to her.
She's not Babe, no.
Yeah, but I mean, she came across very alluring and very seductive in this, and was like, yeah, I could kind of see that happening, like a little, and as Tox said, I think this is where that line actually came from, is don't put your dick in crazy.
Yep.
Because I mean this really like just sums it up, and it makes you wonder, like, like, who did this? Esther Haas wrote it. I wonder if it came from experience. There's a lot of people out there that get into these situations where
There
like,
was some crazy ass shit in this movie.
holy
Yeah.
shit.
Oh, the whole rabbit thing. Holy
Yeah.
shit. Yeah. Well, I
Did
mean,
you guys know that Glenn Close was in Hook?
yes.
The alligator.
They dressed her up as a dude pirate.
Why am I hearing a sheep somewhere?
I don't know.
They're everywhere.
What?
I did not know that she was in Hook.
Yeah,
You said
she's
a
the
male
pirate that
pirate.
they put in the boo box and they throw the scorpions in.
Really? Oh, okay, now I'm gonna have to go watch that.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just
That is
bizarre.
odd.
Yeah, that's her.
I think Andy, you're right. She's not the babe type thing that you were expecting to see in the '80s, but she was a seductress here.
I
And just-
wonder how much it took to sell that casting of her, because I'm sure somebody like had somebody in mind, some really hot.
Kim
Star-
Basinger or something like that.
Yeah, and somebody said, "No, I want to cast Glenn Close," and you're like, "You're out of your freaking mind," and then, boom, she did it. I mean,
Glenn Close can
She's-
act.
Fantastic and dangerous liaisons. Brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very fun. But, yeah, it's a good pick. All right, Andy, did you get anything you want to say?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we'll go on. This is my third pick, and there's some explanation that goes on here. I do not consider this to be a science fiction film. I consider this to be a future dystopia film similar to Escape from New York. And that's why I picked Mama.
Science fiction.
No, science fiction to me is Dune, Star Trek stuff that's out there, right?
Mama Bell.
Right. So this,
Mama Bell.
there's nothing in this movie outside of the levitating motors. No, did this one have the levitating motorcycles? I don't think so.
No,
Yeah,
this
there's-
one was all in
there
a
was-
building.
There's nothing outside in this movie that I would consider to be fiction, science fiction. It's all within the realm of possibility.
What about Anderson's psychic powers? Come on.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
You got me there
Okay.
on the psychic powers. But that was really a bullshit part of this entire film. They never should
All
have
right,
that
all
shit in there.
I probably shouldn't have let it slide, but I did anyway. So
Yeah. But
that's just because I have something on mine coming up, and you'll see. Why.
yeah, Tom wanted to get away with something.
We all
so
got
he
one.
used me.
We
Right.
all got one.
Yeah. But
Because they're one I probably wouldn't put on a comic book superhero list. That's why.
I see. Well, and Dredd was a comic book hero or a comic book
It is
graphic
but
novel, right? Yeah, I can understand that, but from a film standpoint, really to me, Lena Headey does a great job as Mama in this film and really drives the entire film. I love this film, and Carl Urban, I'm a big fan of Carl Urban. And I thought this is an underrated film to me. I thought it deserved to do better when it was in theaters. If it ever comes back out and goes to IMAX, I will want to see it. But she does a phenomenal job. Strong female character in a dystopian setting where she had to work her way up from the bottom, literally the bottom to the top. And then nobody fucked with her from there. So it's just, I was the Scar, the whole 9 yards. I believe this with her in there. I just thought she was a great character.
Yeah, the original rendering of the character, she was supposed to be elderly, like a grandmama almost.
Right.
And,
And
yeah, I think
I'm glad they didn't do that,
No, it's great. It's great.
because this is a much better film. Soon from there. If you haven't seen this film, I do suggest that you go out and see it from there. So, anyone else want to comment, or else we'll move on from my shameful pick?
Are you the only one who picked this one? I thought somebody else did.
I think no, I'm the only one. I think I think I'm the only
I
one.
thought maybe somebody else did, but I guess not.
We argued about it in the back and forth.
Yeah,
I pleaded. Yeah.
I'd thought about it, but because we swithered a bit about the category of movies, I left it out. But
That's okay. That means we get to talk about it again when we do the next one. Yes. All right. See, the sheep, we can communicate through the sheep. So we
got a moment here. Kitty Bear sends in €2 and brings up
Kitty Bear.
that Rey from Star Wars is the biggest villain. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, overriding the Skywalker legacy.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that Jennifer
Palpatine lives
Lawrence
on.
actually went back in time and played Mama first.
Oh, that's
About
right.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
First female villain.
Yeah, man.
Of all time.
All right. What do we got?
And I think it's a cool shot with her standing next to him. All right, next up. I couldn't find a picture for the system. So
Yeah. Again,
this back.
yeah, I was, well, you set the category the action or dramas, and I tried to think of like a drama where I tried to think of a drama where there was a villain that was not well defined, but was always there. And I thought of All the President's Men because in a way, it might be one of the more sort of sinister villains of the movie. If you think about the fact that you got, and just within the, not talking about the real life events, which were crazy enough in themselves, but for the film's sake, Woodward and Bernstein are going up against this abstract force of nature, which is all these interconnected relationships, the politics, the money, the power struggles, and everything else. And they're just, the two mangy little reporters trying to do their job, and that they've got this all-encompassing force that is working against them, putting them under threat, all the people they're talking to under threat. Most of the people they talk to themselves are effectively either pawns or victims of this greater system. And so in the context of the film, you've got the David and Goliath thing, except Goliath is American politics, money, and influence. And just as, like I said, my theme in this list is more of like banality of evil. It's just they're not going up against some Snively P. Whiplash, but trying to push back against the very mechanisms of sort of our world in a way. And so I know there's not really an actor to point to say, oh, they did the best job as the villain or anything here. But if I had to pick my sort of like goofy pick for this list, this would probably be it. But that's what came to my mind. I know, no actor to critique here.
It's an interesting choice, mate. Yeah, good one.
Yeah,
I can get it. And we're kind of seeing that now. Same kind of thing.
Well, it is really
system.
informative. I mean, it's kind of, if you think about it just conceptually, it's a very informative movie, and might have been, at least especially at the time, it probably was a sort of an eyes opening sort of narrative about how the world works and how you can get caught up in forces literally beyond your control and be put under threat, not necessarily with your life, but just with your ability to operate in the world.
Right. Well, there was a lot of propaganda that had been going on in the United States since the 1912s from the government. And coming out of World War II, the propaganda was about we are Americans, we are great,
right?
Nuclear family, all that kind of stuff to try and combat communism. It was actively something the U.S. government was doing. The good housekeeping thing with the wife at home with the drink ready and all of that stuff was made up in the late 40s and 50s. And pervade throughout there. And then this stuff happened with Nixon, and this film shows that. You're seeing the breakdown of that propagandized version of what the United States was at that time.
In a way, the disillusionment with the American purity in this film, it's kind of a weird thing where the truth is effectively the bad guy, because everybody would be happier in this film if nobody asked the questions, if they just went along with the program.
Just went with it.
Yeah, and it's such a weird contrast of perspectives and ideals that was my thinking.
Good pick. Odd pick. I didn't know what to do with it, so you get this guy.
Yay!
Hey, anyone else want to say?
Well, ironically, this is the same villain that was in JFK.
Oh, there
well,
it is.
that too. Sure. Yeah. Oh,
Hey. Probably looked like him too.
Back and to the left.
Back to the left. Back to the left. All right, next up. Oh, CC, another great pick.
The Manchurian Candidate.
Don't you draw the Queen of Diamonds, boy. She'll beat you if she's able.
That's right.
Oh man,
It reminded me of that line. And
Queen of Hearts is always your best bet, you know.
Yeah. One of the greatest actresses who ever lived, for a start. If you haven't seen this movie, you need to see this movie. It's an absolute masterpiece. And she won the Golden Globe, not only nominated for an Oscar. Heck, she just should have won everything for this one. But
isn't the remake actually considered okay too, from my recollection?
I haven't seen it, but
I've heard it's all right.
It's okay-ish, but I mean, it's just trying. I mean, just like with so many things, it's trying to redo a classic. It's really difficult to do.
There's absolutely no way. There's no way to top this movie.
No,
you know, I kind of noticed tonight. It's like, well, there's a horror element to this. I know we're not doing horror movies, but it's like there's to a fantastic performance and to a fantastic villain, you almost can't get away from that, right? And this is a bit of a horror, but it is also a drama. It's also a love story. And unlike Patrick Bateman, I mean, there's a lot of passion in this woman, and you don't know if she's like she does have this man, like he is under the thrall, right? He is the Manchurian Candidate. He is programmed, but in a way, so is she, because she's so completely, like, totally immovable from what she feels, but what they've done to her, and what they're doing to him, and like,
she's broken.
Yeah, I mean, it's a heartbreaking love story.
She is broken, and I always thought of Angela Lansbury at Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, you know, those kind of Disney slapstick things, Murder, She Wrote. And I had heard about this film, but I never really watched it until probably my late teens. And then I saw it, and I could not believe it was Angela Lansbury. And I went back and started looking at some of her films, and I was completely shocked at some of the stuff she was in. And
the more I looked at this movie, I think I have it too low on my list.
It's a great film all the way around. I think we've had a recent president that went through something like this.
Yeah, so, well, it's current.
Yeah, it's a current thing.
You know, from 1962, but it's very relevant.
Yeah, there were so many of these good psychological thrillers in the 60s. And this is a psychological thriller with Now, I talked to my father about this film. In that time, he was graduating high school around there. That was the whole height of the Cold War, everything else going on. This movie came out, and he said, at the time, that's what made it horrifying. It's not you say there's a horror element to it. There's a horrifying element to it, because this movie, he was sitting there watching it in theaters. They thought it could be real. For what was going on at that time in 1962, 63, you're starting Vietnam, height of the Cold War and everything going on from there. And this movie just put a fear in him of what was going on at
Corn
the time.
Pop was a bad dude.
Corn Pop, bad dude. And hopefully they didn't lose their precious bodily fluids. So
yeah, that's bad, yo. Like Corn Pop, bad dude.
Bad dude.
Sniff his hair, smell like shit.
He's no Eleanor Shaw Island, though.
No.
He might have had sex with her.
He wrote about murder.
He did. And popcorn.
Yeah, no. Excellent choice.
All right. Yeah, good choice. Next up, Gary with another great choice.
Yeah, this one is, very much now, a stereotypical villain, but
clearly what Dr. Evil was based on.
Of course.
Yeah,
a mix of that and what's his name, the producer of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, the accent.
Yeah, Lorne Michaels.
Lorne Michaels, yes.
Yeah. Donald Pleasance is such a weird guy. He has this weird 1,000-yard stare. He's always like staring through the actor that he's working with. You know, he's so preoccupied. He's somewhere else, and he's kind of got this weird demeanor. Hello, I'm Anne Stavro Blofeld. I don't know what's going on in Donald Pleasant's head, but man.
Come, Mr. Bond. You enjoy the scallop just as much as I do. Please, eat.
Yeah. I love this movie. It's kind of, even Connery was kind of like, this is getting ridiculous by this point, but, this is a great movie. And I think there's probably been I really like the Telly Savalas version of Blofeld, but this one's kind of the first one where we actually saw him.
Well, Pleasance is kind of an undersung actor. Like, he's never really gotten the prestige I think he deserved.
I always thought he was bigger than he was. Because I the first thing I saw him in was this movie. I hadn't seen Halloween by the time I'd seen this.
Right.
And I always thought that he was just, a bigger, more well-known actor, and he really wasn't. I saw him in a Twilight Zone episode, years later after that, and that and Halloween, and that was pretty much it. But
he played a lot of Weasley characters.
Yeah. Well, he's got this weird. I don't know. He's got this
voice
weird
and
mannerism, weird demeanor about him.
No, but John Carpenter always knew how to use him well, and I think that's what helped him out in that latter part of his career. But
yeah,
I mean, of course, Halloween carried him through the end. But no, I think he was very undersung and underappreciated character actor.
Yeah, I agree. We had always seen before this, just kind of the hand petting the cat and the cat itself, and we heard a voice, but we hadn't actually seen Blofeld until this moment here, I think.
So it lived up to the expectation. Is that what you're saying?
Sure. Yeah. He's got this weird scar.
I think it's become iconic enough that, you can say that.
Totally. Yeah.
Iconic film.
All right. I'm glad
Anyone
he
else
made
want to comment before we?
No, I've never actually. I mean, this is one of the few that I really have seen and I like. So I wish we could do a Bond one. Maybe I'll have to watch them all so we can. But
I love the cat. Just him sitting there in the chair with a cat, with the scar and all that stuff. Yeah.
Donald Pleasance is just always one of those. It's a pleasant surprise in a film, no matter what he's
Oh God!
I'm not even kidding.
When I was a kid and I didn't understand timelines or when things came out, I thought that this character was a ripoff of Dr. Claw.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, when I'm very young, I was like, I didn't understand things.
Gotcha.
Well, yeah, because I didn't understand when things came out when I was very young. So like I'd see Inspector Gadget, and then on TBS I'd see Only Live Twice, and I'd be like, wait, it's like Gadget.
Yeah, I saw Our Man Flint before I saw any Bond films.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
that's fun.
Oh God. And
that's a great movie.
It's like me watching Austin Powers before the Bond film.
Yeah, you're like, oh, look at that. Oh, the Leon Helm stuff that Dean Martin did. All those films, the spoofs.
Matt Helm?
Matt Helm. Yeah, the Matt Helm stuff. Oh, those are hilarious.
Could you imagine if somebody did a spoof of all the spy thrillers, like the Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, like Steve Martin, and you'd have all the different spies in the movie? You have Don Adams in there. Hello, Chief.
Oh, that would be great. And so you got the Avengers, the British TV show. You got that. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Like a celebrity death match to see who'd survive. It would probably be Don Adams, but
Yes, me, I that much.
All right. And Andy, oh, what a pick!
Gregory Powell.
Wow,
good one. Nice.
This is probably one a lot of people haven't seen because it's very odd. My dad took me to see this when I think I was like 12, 13 years old. And James Woods is so frightening at this. He's he's skinny, he's scrawny, he's kind of ugly. He's like, but man, the intensity that this guy's got in his ability to kind of mentally coerce the audience. He's really brilliant in this. You go from like he's slimy, he's sneaky, he's like, but in a way you're kind of like you understand his desire for survival, and how he sees everything as this kind of like he has no choice but to do the things that he's got to do. He's totally evil and criminal, but the way that he manipulates every single person around him is fascinating. And to watch him work in this is just it's pretty frightening. If it's a depressing movie, if you haven't seen it, don't do it if you're on antidepressants, because it could push you over the edge. It's not pleasant at all, but great performances in it. And back then there was a whole bunch of movies that came out in the late 80s or early 80s like this that had this very serious tone to them. By far, and there's a lot of other actors in this too. With you have Ronnie Cox, you have John Delancey has a part in it. There's the guy who plays Larry and my other brother Daryl. He's in there like in little bit parts and stuff. But really, really intense performance by James Woods, and he's quite disturbing in it. If anybody else has seen it.
Oh, it's excellent. Yeah, it's great. The book is good. The book is good. But
there's a book.
There's a book. Yeah.
I'm actually going to go see this. I'm going to find this film and watch it. I didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's based on a true story.
I've heard of it, but never seen it. So yeah,
I like
wish
James
could
Woods.
comment. Yeah, James
anytime
Woods
I can
great.
support James Woods, I'm going to do it.
He likes Woods.
Yeah, I like Woods.
He is like he's thoroughly evil in this. Like he's and just kind of psychotic. He's like, you get this like, he snaps. There's a couple scenes where he just goes from very like into this like what are you doing? And like and you're like you can understand why everybody in the cast is terrified of him. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, this is one I wrote down at all this because I didn't no idea when I looked it up. I saw the photo. I was like, "That's James Woods." Well, yeah, I've got to go see this. So, I'm figuring that out. Good story. All right, next, Tom.
Yeah.
Clarence.
Can you fly, Bobby?
Give me my phone call.
You burnt the money. You burnt the fucking money. It's as good as marked. Probably one of the most quotable bad guys in cinema fucking history. The Tigers are playing tonight, and I never miss a game. Oh man!
Yeah. He's
And not only that,
red.
he is not. When you look at him, right? He is not your average bad guy, and that's what the makers why they got him to do the part, because they actually based him on this real guy. I forget the name of the guy that they based him on, but he was like this Weasley nerdy little fucking like ringleader of this fucking mob, right? Like in real life, the guy that he's based on. So like the fact that they found, Kurtwood Smith, who's a good old Wisconsin boy, grew up not too far from where I'm from, pretty well known around the area. I mean, just the fact that he took this character and ran with it, and, the whole give me my fucking phone call. And just, I mean, the attitude and the way he comes in with everything. And, the only time he's scared is when RoboCop is there, and he's like, I work for Dick Jones. Dick Jones works for OCP. OCP owns the cops. That whole thing. Like, it's just, he's one of the most quotable fucking bad guys ever. Bitches leave.
Yeah, that's great.
I can keep going. That's how great he is, But this is the one that got the most audible groans in the DM chat, even though you can't hear people. I know I could hear you guys when you saw this, when you're like, oh, fuck, I forgot about Clarence.
Yeah.
And everybody chimed in on that one. So I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to say a few things on Clarence, because, I think he was one that everybody missed out on.
When I was a skinny, glassed, nerdy kid, Clarence Boddicker made me believe I could be a bad guy.
Yeah.
I love the performance, everything about it. Yeah, when you brought him up, I was like, God damn it! Why didn't I think?
I didn't think RoboCop was allowed, Tom, or I would have picked him.
Yeah.
Dystopian future.
Well, here's one of my exceptions, because it is sci-fi, but it's not so far into the sci-fi. Plus, it was not based on a comic book, so I would not be able to use him as a comic book bad guy. But he's not a super villain at the same time. He's a human, so he does fall into the human category. So this was one that I kind of fell into an exception realm, and he was actually one of the reasons I wanted to do this list.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the main reasons.
I could buy
Dystopian
that.
future.
Yeah.
Dystopian
Japan's
future bad
got-
guy, but Yeah.
Japan's got sex robots, so robots are definitely a thing. It's not
They
really
are.
sci-fi.
Yeah, and I
anymore.
thought that he was number 2 on my list, but I guess I had my list a little awkward. But
Yeah.
either
My
way,
man.
don't matter.
I met Kurtwood Smith at a little
Oh,
burger
really?
stand in Burbank one day.
Nice.
And I that was at the time when he was really well known as on
Red.
the 70s show. Yeah. And
Dumbass.
I went up to him. I'm like, hey, I'm a huge fan. You know, I saw RoboCop, in the theater when I was 7 years old. He said, you saw that movie in the theater when you were 7? Who the hell are your parents?
He's got a point.
Yeah, no shit. That's all he said to me. That and thanks a lot,
He seems like I've heard he's a pretty good dude.
Oh yeah, he's super cool.
No, he literally grew up a half hour from where I'm from, so yeah, he's kind of a local celebrity.
I saw Jaws when I was 8, so
Yeah, me, RoboCop as a kid, I never really realized until I was a little older, yeah, my parents probably should not have let me watch this fucking movie.
Dude. No
I mean,
way.
but we rented it all the time. It got to a point where my dad, I swear to God, we rented it so much that my dad goes, how much to buy the tape? Because these kids rent it every goddamn day. He's like, at this point, we could have bought it, right? And they're like, well, it's $93 or whatever. And he's like,
That's
never
right.
mind.
Yeah. That's right.
Because that was when it was brand new.
You could buy it
still,
for
yeah.
$100. Yeah.
Yeah, it was when it was brand new. Yeah. So anyway, but not Clarence Barker. Anybody else want to say anything quick before we move on?
No.
Just a great character in a great film.
Yes.
Yeah.
wow.
And
All right.
Great.
So
actor,
let's
too.
keep going, or are we at the end of this line because we got a super chat?
We are 70s is up next, so
All right.
go right
Well,
ahead. with super chat.
hold that thought for just a second there. We got Mo Zamboni. I like that. Who sent in $5. I love that icon too. Is that Chuck Norris? Looks like him. Mama's mangled smile when she thought she got one up on Dredd in the movie was creepy as fuck and loved it. Lena Headey is nerd royalty. Change my mind. No, I don't think anybody's going to try and
Nope,
change your mind.
You're not going to argue anything that you said. I'm not.
No. Yeah. So thank you, Mo Zamboni, for that, and glad to see
That's
you
actually
agree.
him and AI. He said that's not.
Oh, is it? So you look a
Yeah.
lot like Chuck Norris. All right.
Maybe he's got a fist in his beard that comes out. Who knows?
Maybe he is a real American. Frank from Once Upon a Time in the West. Yeah, there was a few Western guys who didn't make my list I wanted to make, but here's one that at least did.
I mean, I could do an entire list of just Western.
I know,
guys.
right?
Yeah.
That's where I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Just between. That's why I was thinking. That's kind of why I left him off the list.
This
But
is
go
a
ahead,
good
Brian.
choice. This is a good choice.
Yeah, this is actually
So
a choice.
possibly one of the most famous castings against type ever. I mean, this one's always brought up because Henry Fonda obviously used to playing good guys, nice guys, and here he is playing a ruthless, amoral, mercenary, cold as ice, slaughters families, kills, rapes, steals, with those piercing blue eyes. Some people describe him as sadistic, but I don't think he's sadistic. I don't think he cares enough to be sadistic. Doesn't
But he
really
never
care.
swears. He never swears in the whole movie.
No, never swears, never makes slurs or epithets of any kind. But he's focused. He wants power. He wants revenge. Whatever it is he wants, that's what he goes for. And just cold as ice, stone cold, fantastically played. Great. I mean, just even the way he stands and the way he stares is great. Sergio Leone's epic, of course.
Yeah.
Co-written by Dario Argento. So there's some horror. There's
Thank
a horror
God for
edge.
Sergio Leone.
There's a
Oh,
horror
thank
edge to some of it.
That's like if spaghetti met pizza and had a baby.
Yeah,
Mhm.
with Dario Argento's writing, there's a little touch of horror in there.
It's crazy.
Surreal horror. He's so cold that he won't even put one of his henchmen out of his misery when he's dying. He just walks away. Yeah, tough on you. He won't even shoot him to put him out of his misery. He's that
Well,
cold.
you know,
What he
Life
does
in the
to
West
Charles
wasn't-
Bronson is just
Yeah.
it's so nasty.
It's
so
such a great
cold.
pairing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, bullets ain't cheap.
But yeah, Fonda was magnificent in this and thoroughly, because he had trepidations at first, but afterwards he was like, that was the right thing to do.
Mhm.
Glad I did this.
The West back then, it was a savage time.
Yeah.
Right? Not everything was all this. Oh, look what I wonder, Miss Kitty. We're gonna say Miss Kitty and all that stuff. You know.
Yeah, but he's
There were
magnificent.
some bad dudes.
You'll never forget this role if you watch this movie. And if you've never seen this movie, why not?
I was shocked when I saw it because I was used to him playing all the good parts. You know, the 12 Angry Men. So I was watching movies with Dad. We saw 12 Angry Men, and then we watched this film, and it couldn't be more different.
Yep.
Than between the two of them. But
yeah,
it's a great pick. I'm glad you picked this one.
What an actor! Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I could probably do top 10 bad guys in westerns.
Of course, yeah, of course.
And still have some we'd lift off.
I thought I'd put one western, and I tried to mix genres in all of mine. So.
That's a good one.
Anyone there else you go.
Say anything on that? All right.
We need a Korean western for Brian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sergio Leone. I mean, come on.
And no sheep were harmed in that movie.
You know of.
Lots of humans were slaughtered, but no sheep.
You were old enough to be in this film, so yeah.
I did, yeah. I mean, I saw it in the 70s. Obviously, when it came out, I was a little bit too young, but saw it in the 70s on television, although I'm not sure which edit that was. There's a lot of different edits.
Yeah. I'd like to see the original theatrical edit one time. Yeah. All right, next up is my pick, Gordon Gekko from Wall Street. This was one of my favorite films of all time. Is Wall Street, and he's just the bad guy.
And another reason why I opened it up to drama as well, because you're right, he is just but another bad guy you love to hate kind of thing.
Right. And you've got Charlie Sheen and you got his dad, right? And he gets his dad company chopped up, and he sees this guy lies to him, uses him. He's like, kid, this is the way it is, you know, and then gets effed in the end. But you feel kind of bad because he's just making money for, you know, himself and the people around him that are giving him all this cash to go make lots of money. But what a baddie from there. And he's not evil in that sense to me. He's just not the good guy.
He has a different set of standards that he lives by.
Right. His morals are different.
He's the scorpion and the frog, you know. Right. The Bud Fox comes to him with an offering, and he just does what he does. There's not really, there's not any I mean, it's kind of weird to say there's not any maliciousness to it. He's just serving his function, you know?
Right. There are people in the world, just like there are animals in this world, that are there to, you know, take care of stuff and do things like that. That's, this is it's a good film. I liked it. There taught a lot of stuff. There's some really powerful performances in here. The sequel we can forget about, but Gordon Gekko, to me, one of the baddies there. I could have done the same thing with Glengarry Glen Ross, and some other things and stuff in there.
Oh yeah,
around that. But yeah, I thought this was good stuff. I lived in New York for a while during some of all this, and it was good. Anyone else?
Good pick.
All right, we'll move right on to Scribes number 2.
Yeah, Cosmo from Sneakers.
Yeah, one of my
little lesser known film, but it's a good one.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies, one of the best ensemble casts from any movie that I remember from the 90s. And in a way, it was before its time.
One of River Phoenix's last ones too, wasn't it?
I believe so. If not his last one, close to, I think.
Yeah, but, I was going to say it's close to, if not. Yeah.
Yeah, the plot behind the movie is almost prophetic, and it really didn't apply at the time so much as it does now because, it was all about the information. You know, there's a speech that Kingsley gives playing Cosmo, who I don't think they ever gave him a last name in the whole thing. He's talking to Robert Redford about and breaking down exactly, effectively telling him what his purpose is, what his plan is, what he's doing. And he just says, who cares about nations, who cares about countries or anything? It's all about the information and who controls it. Mm-hmm. And back in the still, not quite internet days, that speech didn't have much of an impact, I don't think. But nowadays it's part and parcel. I mean, it was practically just a bellwether. But, you mentioned Moriarty earlier. And in this way, Cosmo to Bishop here is, the opposite number one to another, what the other one could have become if things had just gone slightly differently. And that's effectively kind of what the movie is. You got two halves of a whole here of what do you do with the power over the information? Good or bad? Is there a difference between the two? And Kingsley, he isn't in the movie all that much percentage-wise time, but once you realize what's going on and his hand and everything, you look back over the entirety of the plot. Once I'm not going to give too much away. I think I might already have, but excellent performance, excellent villain. Again, he's a little super villain-ish with his get up and how he's set up, but he's not. He's almost a sad. He's kind of a tragic character in a way, and he's not twirling his mustache or being overtly James Bond villainish. Right. No offense to James Bond villains, I like those too, but he's a very down to earth opponent, and his argument and his methods are today valid. Are complete, not only valid, but today completely mundane. This guy, the character in this film, while a villain, is like any corporate data broker you can think of today. It's such a bizarre contrast compared to where things were at back in the 90s and how we would consider it now. But overall, I mean, but he would not work without being set up against such a great set of other actors. If you haven't seen Sneakers, I cannot recommend it more highly. It's such a great, well done, well scripted film.
I was doing a computer. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm gonna go check this out again. I totally forgot about this movie. Yeah. This is a great movie.
I was in computers at this time, and I want to point out something Scribe said. These are two people that are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
They're other halves. And before the internet, there really was those of us who saw the good potential of it, but we didn't think because that negative potential of it was not something we thought of. Because I would never think to steal somebody else's data and use that against them. Because I'm such a civil libertarian when it comes to that stuff. And that's the way I was raised, is you don't do that to other people. You let them keep their privacy and go from there. And that quandary, which way were we going to go with this technology? And it's obvious where we've gone. You have a few oligarchs that are taking all your data and manipulating you because of it. I've got a Domino's app on my phone, and I say something around Alexa like, hey, I'm hungry, and boom, 2 minutes later, Domino's is saying, hey, we got a special deal. That's pure manipulation. Oh, yeah, pineapple on a pizza. It's good stuff. Those of you who don't like it don't have souls.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How do you ruin a pizza?
Glad to be soulless. I heard that pineapple, it's a scientific fact, actually, that pineapple goes bad the moment you put it on pizza, and so does the pizza, but just saying.
To some people,
we already got tomatoes pretending to be a vegetable on pizza. We don't need more fruit.
That's exactly
fruit is meant for fruit pizza.
So I like fruits.
I was
fruity
almost
bastard.
Tempted to put Ben Kingsley's Don Logan from Sexy Beast on my list.
Oh yeah.
That'd be good.
They're making a prequel TV series for that film.
Are they making one, or is there going to be?
Yeah, it's already being produced. I've already seen screenshots from it. Yeah, it's such an odd choice, but yeah, they're doing
revelation.
that.
This is Gandhi we're looking at.
I know.
He's playing this really little shit, this evil little shit. Anyway.
All right. Anyone else? All right. CC Training.
Fucking love
so
this.
It occurred to me after I picked this. It's written by David Ayer and directed by Antoine Fuqua, who we were talking about both of them just on Thursday on Mead. And even though I haven't come around to a bunch of their other work, this particular movie always stood out to me. It's like a situation where everything just comes together and works. It's well shot, it's well directed. But in particular, you have Denzel, like maximum Denzel Washington, right? And Ethan Hawke alongside of him. And they both won the Oscar for this at a time when the Oscars meant something more than they mean today. Well deservedly. I mean, the movie is principally, there are other actors in this movie, but it is so dominated by the two of them, and they play off each other so well. I think that lends a tremendous amount of energy to it. But Denzel specifically, it's not just, crooked cop story. It's the fundamental villain concept of when you put morality above the law, right? Because he is a cop, but he is somebody who, his idea of right and wrong, his moral compass is the law. It's how he rules, right? And it is what is right and wrong in the territory that he occupies, not what the written law says should be right and wrong. And then you have Ethan Hawke, the hero of the story, so to speak, who is very much bound by what the law dictates is right and wrong. And there's this tremendous character arc and conflict between the two of them across the movie. And if you haven't seen it, again, obviously I recommend it. It's really it's a fantastic performance by the both
I actually
of
have
them.
not seen it since it first came out, and I just got the 4K in the mail last week. I just haven't got a chance to rewatch it again.
Well, dang, I hope it's a good conversion, or just
Yeah, I haven't got a
Yeah.
chance to check it out yet. But yeah,
Generally speaking, Antoine Fuqua is good value for money. As
yeah. I remember
he's one of my
enjoying it,
favorites.
all right, but
Yeah.
Denzel's not one I generally like as a bad guy. So it was kind of, I think I remember that from when I first saw it. I was kind of a tad of a turnoff, but I still remember it being a decent film, and I remember, of course, the speech, and I think this is the one he won his Oscar for.
Yeah.
So.
It is, yeah. I mean, he's fantastic in it. I don't know what more to say.
King Kong ain't got
about
shit
that.
on me.
Yeah. Well, and that's just such a classic scene too, because it is like the way that, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but it's like you see his, like it's like he is the king, and his people are turning their backs on him, right? Because he's falling from grace. He's falling from being the respected and the heroic figure when he just. Sorry, it's a fantastic character arc,
All right.
Great movie, brilliant movie.
I'll just leave it at this. I didn't like this film.
That's why it's a
fair.
great
Yeah,
movie.
see, that's the
just
thing
feel-
is I don't remember liking it so much. That's my problem with it. But
Yeah,
I mean, his
but I mean,
performance was still
it's
good.
a very powerful performance. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't remember liking this film. Okay, we're going up next.
Yep.
Gary with the last of the triple X, quadruple X's. All right, we'll go on to.
that was Debbie Does Dallas 12.
That's right, Andy. John Doe. and
Oh, what's in
Seven.
the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box? This almost made my list too, Andy.
Kevin,
Somebody in the chat earlier said if John Doe made it, it's just Kevin Spacey playing himself, and I about fell.
Oh,
Okay, are we allowed to put Kevin Spacey on here? Because I thought about it, and then I was like, I don't think I should.
I'm not going to try to spoil anything, but he might be the only actor to make it twice.
Oh,
I think, Andy, you're muted. Or say something.
Oh, hello.
Oh, there we are. Okay. You're like moving around and say, I didn't hear you. So there we go. Okay.
great.
No, I was just nodding in agreement. I mean, like Kevin Spacey's creepy. There's just something about him that, like, I mean, I think it's kind of like why he did such a good job in that where he played the space alien dude in K-Pax.
K-Pax, yeah.
Yep.
He's just
That's
he's
one of my
a weirdo.
favorites.
He's just a weirdo. He's like, I mean, he's an intriguing weirdo, like, and he's good to watch. It's,
Oh yeah, in the Garden of Good and Evil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof,
It's a
weird.
shame he's such a whack job because like you there's certain things you can't really separate the art from the artist for, and like in some of the things. And look, court of law, he hasn't been convicted of anything, but still, like there's a lot of smoke. But yeah, this dude is like he is friggin' out there. The manipulative and sadistic nature of him, and the ending of this movie, and when he just like he knows he won at the end. It was just wow. I mean, yeah. How do you like? Spoiler alert. How do you like when the bad guy gets killed, but also you didn't want him to win, but you're glad he's dead?
It's a
Him
weird
dying
combo,
means he wins. Yeah.
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 It's one of those all-time classic. What would you do in that situation?
Yep.
And I was okay with how it turned out.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no real wrong answer to that one, right?
Oh,
Like
no.
it's
Well, there's no chance of him ever getting released on like
Right,
in
right.
screenplay or anything like that. He's just dead.
But if anything, you feel worse for obviously Brad Pitt's character for more than one reason, right? Like that's the thing,
Right.
Like you said, and this is one of those rare occasions where the bad guy wins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep. But I mean, there some good men break. And one thing that I know people that were in Vietnam and fighting and all that stuff, and people say, "Oh, well, you shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have done that." I'm like, "Oh yeah, they're for the grace of God."
Jeez.
You have no idea when you're in that situation, life and death and all that stuff, and it's happened in every war and every situation and stuff like that. You have no idea what you're going to do until that choice happens to you. And this is one of those films that just shoves that in your face, and so well. And Morgan Freeman, what a phenomenal job! This is just, I never want to see this film again. But
Yeah, this
it
movie
has
makes
stuck
me
with
sick.
me.
Yeah.
it's a one that makes you crawl. Yeah.
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 It's
Yeah.
good, but it makes me sick.
Yeah. I've only
Yeah.
seen this twice. I've only seen it twice.
Yeah, I can't watch it more.
I've seen
Yeah,
it more
I can-
times than I want to admit, but yeah. Anyway,
All right, good pick. And we're off to Tom's number 2.
bang, fuck, I'm dead.
Abdallah.
Good villain.
I mean, just kind of like Clarence Bodiger, like just one of those bad guys that, and this was one, again, even though The Crow was a comic, this character was created mainly for the movie. So again, this is another one why I kind of let you guys go with Dredd, because this was another reason why I wanted to do this list, because I mean, this character in this film is just sadistic as fuck, played brilliantly by, of course, the actor just fucking went out of my brain here. I just had it. Ugh. Anyway, when I think about the name again, Michael Wincott, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Michael Wincott, like he's just amazing and another underused actor in my opinion. He's been in a lot of
He's
different
the bad
stuff.
guy in the Three Musketeers with Charlie Sheen and those guys.
He's in that. I think that's him. Yeah,
Yeah, he's in that.
him and Tim Curry. I think were the bad
Tim
guys.
Curry
in
is
that.
Richland.
Yeah. But no, I mean he's just a great character actor and a wonderful villain in this movie. And this movie already has a shit ton of great villains in it. So I mean, plus to add him at the top of the list as far as the bad guys go with his freaky sister, I mean, just an amazing character and amazing performance at the same time. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that scene where they're having.
Or no, it was Robin Hood. I think he was in. Yeah, that was what it was. We're getting mixed up with Robin Hood. I don't.
No, he was in Three Musketeers.
Was he in that one too?
Yeah, the one with
Was he in both of them?
Was he in Robin Hood? Where?
Somebody said he was in Robin Hood. I was like, was he in Robin Hood? I can't remember.
No, I guess it depends on which Robin we're talking about. But
Yeah, that's true.
Now, there was some. The guy that was in Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, he
Alan
was the
Rickman.
cousin. That's
Alan-
right. That's what I
Alan
thought.
Rickman.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He was in
Yeah.
there. He was in both.
Yeah, so he's in both
Okay.
of them. Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, he was in both. Yeah. But he was definitely in the Three Musketeers.
That's what I mean. He's in a lot of things you don't realize it. He even played Ed Gein in the Hitchcock movie about the making of Psycho.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was Guy of Gisborne in Prince of Thieves. I
Yeah,
almost
he's good.
put Alan Rickman in for that movie just because I'm going to cut your heart out with a spoon. Why a spoon? Because it will hurt more. This is a wonderful line. The best part of that whole rest of the film can catch ass. But yeah,
I
he
like it
did
in
the
a weird
Three
way.
Musketeers. He did Robin Hood in 91, Three Musketeers in 93, and this in 94.
Yeah. Just a great heavy. I love
Great
him.
actor. He's
Great.
been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's keep moving. What do we got next?
And 70s number 1 pick.
Simon Phoenix.
Yeah, this is my extra addition to the list, given that it's kind of sci-fi.
Yeah, we again another one we kind of let slide. Because again, we pointed out about the only thing that hasn't come true out of Demolition Man is the Taco Bell and the seashells. At this
It's
point.
in the past. It was set in 2030,
Pretty much.
2020.
At this point, it is
Was it
now.
2023 or 2022?
It's
I don't know.
actually set in the past.
Yeah.
But they were right about the whole Taco Bell thing.
Well, that's funny because when I
Were
first
they?
saw the movie in the cinema in the UK back in the day, it wasn't Taco Bell, it was Pizza Hut. I
Pizza
think.
Hut. Yeah, outside of the US, it was Pizza Hut.
Yeah,
That's right.
so when I first saw it over here, I went, what the hell? How did they change that whole movie? But anyway, Simon Phoenix, unlike some of the ice cold villains earlier, is crazed, dangerous, overtly psychopathic, flamboyant, and a great libertarian. I have to say, top-notch libertarian. Everyone's got the right to be an asshole, you know, whatever.
So you're saying Wesley Snipes wasn't really acting in this role?
Well, and that's another reason why I let this one slide, because Sly and Wesley are such well-known action heroes that this kind of falls more in the action. You know, yeah,
he just has so much personality in it. He absolutely slays it. I mean, you kind of love him right from the start, even though he's this horrible killer, psychopath. He's so egregious about it. You got to love him, you know. Mm-hmm. He's impulsive and he's bloodthirsty and barbaric, but he's intelligent and funny and charming if he wants to be. He's just got it all, and Snipes just slays it. Yeah, I love this. I love this movie. I mean, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, right up there in the top 10. Always loved it, and I've always loved this performance. It should get more credit, I think, for its acting, for his acting ability in it, because he really puts everything into this one. It's a lot of fun.
Excellent.
That's a fun film.
Yeah, I love it.
Excellent pick.
Yeah, the man you love to hate, but hate to love.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, another great example.
Indeed.
All right,
that's all I got to say about that.
We got our poll running in the chat for next week's poll, or next week's list. I mean, poll for the list.
You're doing what with the?
That's right. It's tight.
Isn't that what that guy did in that Bass Pro Shop? He went fishing without a pole.
Yeah.
Ooh,
he definitely without.
No pole, no tackle. Nothing.
That's right. Nothing.
There might have been a worm involved.
Ouch.
Ow. Definitely a night crawler.
There was a turtle in that tank.
Oh, there it is.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. My number one was,
as
Kaiser
I said,
Sose.
yes, the only actor to make it on the list twice.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be something for that. Got to be something for that. 2 different times for 2 different characters, and he almost made my list a couple times for different roles that you guys didn't even bring up. So this is the weird thing about him. It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to wake up dead.
I would have put him on, but
you could do a top 5 list of Kevin Spacey's creepiest roles.
You could.
Yeah. That's
Bobby Darin.
Yeah, I mean, Kaiser Soze.
Oh yeah, Bobby Darin.
I mean, this movie when it came out blew everybody's fucking mind.
That's why this had to be number 1 for me.
What did I just watch? And then you go back and you see it, and you're just like, okay.
This movie took my brain out, scrambled it, and put it back. Unlike Silence of the Lambs, which did it for real. This, when he starts walking out and he sees, and it starts, the limp stops happening, oh my God. And then they go through everything and all that stuff. I was like, oh, wow. Just phenomenally played. He's throughout the entire film, narrating into what's going on and getting everything together. And it's done so well. You have no idea till the end what's happening. And spoiler alerts across the board on what this film's 30 years old now. How old is this film?
About that, yeah.
It's around about 30, yeah.
Yeah, it's about 30 years. So if you haven't seen the film, not a whole lot I can tell you, but wow. Just wow.
It makes you wonder what Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer talked about on the set.
What they talking about?
Oh.
Well, you got the writing. You got to credit the writing a lot in this one. I mean, was it Christopher
the writing
McQuarrie?
was good. The other actors were very good. It Oscar-nominated film. Did it win any?
I think so, but not only that, it was shot on ends. Now, I don't know if you guys know what that is. Does anybody here on this panel know what that is? I'm sure Gary or somebody knows what it is. Yeah, I was going to say Gary knows what it is. Okay, so for those who don't know out in the chat, ends are the ends of film that are left over from another production.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, they'll gather up just little bits and pieces of reel that are left over. So then other guys will come by and buy it for cheap. So this movie was shot completely on ends.
Wow.
That's how they did it so cheap.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
Made lots of money.
Brian and the guys would go around, you know, near the end of the days and go buy up what was left over from the bigger productions, and you know, yeah, this was a pure indie cinema, man.
Wow.
And the fact that it looks so polished and good says so much. I mean, not to take anything away from, you know, the shit that's surrounding the star and its director. Got to still give credit where credit's due on that, even though they've never
It's
been
an
convicted of
ensemble
anything.
film. It's a powerful ensemble film.
And then we got Bad News Badger in the house who sends in 50 Danish krona and says, Demolition Man was the first time I had a movie crush as a youngling. For the first time after I saw everything with Sandra Bullock. Yeah, she was cute in that one.
She was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the whole sex scene. Oh, that was so funny. What is this?
You want
I
to
haven't even touched you yet.
What's the towel for? The 3 shells. He doesn't know about the 3 shells.
What about the 3 shells?
Did Simon Phoenix ever use the 3 shells? I don't recall
think
him
so.
mentioning
He
them.
was probably smart enough to figure it out, but yeah.
He did have those blue jean overalls, though. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That was very guess
It was.
and thing. All right. Well,
All
Kaiser
right.
Sose. And up next is Scribes #1, Nurse
Another reason why
Ratched.
this had to be in the dramas, because this one almost made my list, and I'm glad it was already on the list, because, oh my fucking God.
And
Nurse
I
Ratched.
I misspelled her name. In my mind it was always
Take a drink,
Ratched
kid.
with a T. Yeah, it's Ratched with a D, Ratched. Yeah, just sort of the embodiment of institutionalized evil, like literally for the sake of the film, of course.
You are excused, because I think most people don't even call her the right name. Most people call her like Nurse Wretched, like wretched,
Right.
the word wretched.
Yeah.
anyway.
But I mean, well, first off, Louise Fletcher just in a way, I think may or may not to her discredit, she might have been typecast just because this role was just so powerful and so iconic as just like she might have been like the first cinematic Karen that really made a splash, if you know what I mean. But she just commanded the room, and you could see through her performance, this was somebody who in real life
Just
probably
needed to
didn't
get
have
laid.
need to get laid, didn't have a lot of power, probably had a whole bunch of other problems and insecurities, but she was queen of all before her in the institution and had the power over everybody's lives. And you know, absolute power corrupts, and especially by the end with what she effectively does to
Well, that's the question I always like to ask people. Do you blame Nurse Ratched or do you blame RP?
yeah, I mean, and that's one of the moral
Chicken and the
ambiguity
egg?
to a lot of that film. Yeah, one cuckoo's
No,
nest.
that's a movie I think you and I could have a great debate and talk about.
Yeah, but
I love this movie. Sorry.
yeah, no, it's just the
We're trying to
like I
speed
said,
up here, but yeah.
yeah, the theme in my list is just sort of like abstract banality of evil, and just the again, she represents the system, she represents conformity, she represents controlling other people through manipulation and heavy-handed tactics. And again, Louise Fletcher, she comes across so sort of normal bitch, but at the same time, the amount of power she wields, if you get on her bad
She
side,
doesn't have to like deliberately act out villainous.
No,
That's the
no,
beauty of
yeah,
performance.
her villainy is not.
It's almost like the more kind she is, the more villainous she's being.
Well, yeah, exactly, because you know she's being so sensitive and kind, and of course she's being understanding, but she's going to lead you off to an ice pick. It's
And she's kind of almost a representation of mental health system at that time too.
well, yeah, that too, yeah, exactly. And so I mean, there's a lot of analogies you could use for what she represents, and that's one of them certainly. I mean, mental health care at that time and in the era that the story was written,
Horrible.
everything was. I mean, there's a documentary out there. I won't dwell on it too much. That shows firsthand what mental institutions were like back in the was the 70s or whatever. Geraldo Rivera was one of the guys that
60s,
covered that
50s,
story.
60s, and 70s specifically.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Absolute insanity. It boggles my mind that in America, I know it's just like that kind of thing was allowed to occur for as long as it
Right.
did. But anyway, absolutely great performance. The character is what in my mind, one of the worst villains. Not even a villain you love to hate. She's absolutely terrifying in just
vile.
her vile, terrifying in her just sort of casual evil. And so that's why I put her at my number one.
I just want to add,
go ahead.
this one easily makes my top 5, except that I was avoiding duplicates.
Right.
In the future. I just better put it on there.
Okay with a few because this went a little long, but yeah. No, but she does represent so much of like even modern society. You could kind of like the modern, as brought up as a joke by Daryl Brewer, mental health was that like even the modern health system. You can draw a parallel to her, and just her the way she swings her power around is just
Well, we have a recent example of that.
Yes, we do, but I'm not.
We have a recent example of that, yeah. But back then, the whole mental health thing was burgeoning as a discipline, and they did some things that we consider barbaric now.
Yeah.
But many people, she embodies people who think they're doing the best for others, given what they know at the time.
Yep.
And sometimes you just have to realize what you think is best for someone else is not. That's that whole collectivist versus individualist thing for me. And that's where I took out of this film is that kind of stuff. I saw this. I'm like, I'm not going to let somebody have that kind of power over me.
And that's why I love asking that question, because the real answer is basically what you just said. RP is actually to blame because shouldn't even fucking be there, right? Like that's first of all, he manipulated the system. He shouldn't even be there. And he's causing a disturbance in an already disturbed area. She's doing her fucking job, but at the same time, she's relishing in using like the manipulation that she has and the power. Because I think Scribe's right. I think if you I think they did a series about her, and I don't know how well it was, but like I'm sure you could explore her outside life and see how like she probably was abused or something by a father or whatever, and never had any power anywhere else in her life, and she used this as an outlet. And like you said, at that time, the way that the system worked, nobody was going to stop anyone from doing this shit. The horrors didn't come out to be known until like Geraldo and other people uncovered this shit, so they just went unchecked, right?
Well, there's so the mental health facilities before this time were used to put women away.
Usually,
it was how men would
Down syndrome
be able to get divorced. Women who were lesbian or women who didn't listen to their men or didn't conform or were too tomboyish or things like that.
Hysteria,
Especially
I think is what they called it.
Hysteria, they called it, And they put them in these asylums and just treated them horribly. So I think there's some kind of give and take to that with this. But I mean, this is a classic film. I think it won the Oscar.
It won a few.
Yeah, and it should have. And it was a powerful story. It's a great book.
It is. And sorry, I didn't mean to dwell on it too long, but she is one of the reasons this list should exist. So let's keep on going though. Oh,
CC with a very good pick. Oh, yeah.
I just watched this CC not too long ago.
It's very rewatchable.
Performance. Yeah. Oh God, yes. God, yes.
Absolutely deserving.
Amazing
of the Oscar. Of course, I'm the music guy, so this
came out in '84. You're already chock full of great shit like Breakin' and Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, and Beverly Hills Cop. Thank you very much.
Right. That's why 1984.
Oh, there you go. So now we've dated CC.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's got somebody was in National Lampoon's Vacation in the title role. I saw that. I was like, oh, this is going to be a shit show. And then I see the film and I'm like, oh my God.
Anyway, go ahead.
My bad. It was of course, it's a fantastic performance. For the anime people out there, it kind of reminds me of Kentaro Miura and Koji Mori. And if you have no idea who I'm talking about, basically what I'm saying is it's a very classic combination, like a duo between Mozart and Salieri, right? That exists all throughout the world. It's the combination in this case of Mozart, who is the incredibly talented figure who just like he doesn't even have to try to be the best. He is the best. He could just wake up in the morning and be at his worst and create masterpieces. But he's also deeply troubled. Like he's an alcoholic, and and he's prone to anger.
Womanizer and all that shit.
Deeply flawed.
Yeah.
But he's so gifted. And there's that one scene in the movie where Salieri is looking at Mozart's work and is like, these aren't copies, right? They're originals, because the guy makes no mistakes. It's just Mozart just writes the music and never even has to correct anything. It's just already in his head.
I
It
love
comes
how
out
the
perfectly.
one critique is it's got too many notes.
Yeah. That scene where he just looks at his stuff and there's no mistakes. There's all just stuff that came out of his head when his wife takes him to and you just see him break inside.
Yeah.
I thought he was a mob guy, Mozart. Isn't he a mob guy?
No.
A mobster?
No.
Mozart?
No, that's Mo Sislak art.
It's just a Last Action Hero.
That was not a very good joke.
That was
I mean,
you backed into that
yeah.
one. Yeah, that was
Yeah, he kind of did.
it's a classic duology that forms the basis of a lot of great stories, right?
You're right. And the beauty of his character is that he doesn't even realize that he's the villain in his own tale. And not only that, the biggest sin he makes throughout the film is very similar to a more recent film that came out, and I'm not trying to spoil it, so I won't say which character, but it's basically a character you find out basically is the villain near the end of the film of Oppenheimer, and they have a very similar turn. It's where you as the audience, but not them so much, that character so much more in Oppenheimer, but less so with Salieri, where he just doesn't realize that in the grand scheme of things, he didn't fucking matter all that much, and he definitely didn't matter all that much to Amadeus, and he was a bigger deal in his own head than he was in anybody else's, right? Like, that's the thing, is he thought he was the, this grand schemer of the whole thing, when really he had very little to do with any of the, he probably was a problem at the end of the day, but yeah, whether or not, Mozart was successful or not had very little to do with him.
It was a great film and deserving of the Oscars and stuff. Yeah.
Sorry,
Anyone
but
else?
anyway. Yeah, great. Main player syndrome. I like that, Davina Duckworth. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. There's a lot of people who debate whether or not how accurate the film was, so I think it falls in the fiction category at least enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to it's hard to actually. I consider all history to be fiction to a degree, right? It's like nobody alive today.
Well, I
could
think this is
possibly
also
know.
based on a play, so this probably was already pretty.
Yeah.
I know they've tried to get some things historically accurate, but there's a lot of people who've said that there's a lot of bullshit in the movie too. So that's typical of biopics. But anyway, moving along. What do we got next? Sorry. Oh,
Gary's
walk-in.
Yeah. Max Zorin, A View to a Kill.
Yeah.
Nice.
I picked a lot of Bond films, or Bond villains, but this one separates from all the rest of them because walk-in is walk-in. Probably the scene that made this decision in my mind is when he's machine gunning all of his staff, in the mine when they're about to flood it. He's not only gritting his teeth, but he's laughing and really enjoying it, like thoroughly enjoying it. And yeah, also the scene where he's in the blimp with his, the Yahtzee that, found that created him in a lab, in World War II. When they're watching the bomb about to go off, he's like, "Only seconds more, Carl. The greatest cataclysm in history." You think that he's watching his son being born, like that's how he's almost in tears. It's so beautiful to him. And I really wish he was around today to destroy Silicon Valley for real. Because we need to get rid of that fucking place.
Wish he'd have succeeded.
Right. Absolutely love Walken as Zorin.
Walken almost made my list as Max Schreck, but then I remembered that the Penguin is actually more cold and vile than he is in that movie still. But yeah.
Why you dressed as Batman?
Why Wayne dressed as Batman?
It's a great pick. I'm glad that Walken made the list, and I'm glad you picked this one.
Yeah, it's at least once. Because True Romance is another great one that he's into, and he's played so many great villains. I was glad to see he made the list at least. Yeah, this is one I got to check out. I got to get into the Bond films. We'll have to do a Bond.
Yeah, man.
Bond list. I got to finish one.
Bonding over Bond.
Yes. Well, I did start a thing with Robert Meyer Burnett, and it just never got finished. So maybe I'll have to fire it up again with a couple of you guys.
Get Gary and everybody on the Bond.
Oh,
films.
yeah.
That'd be you, Andy, Gary, R&B. That'd be a good show.
Bonding
Good
over
panel.
Bond. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going here. What do we got?
Oh, Andy.
Scorpio.
What a great pick. Oh.
I am right.
Oh, I love.
I want a lawyer.
I'm not going to tell you where the girl is. I'm going to let her die.
What's great is that talk about against type, because, like, I mean, what's his name? Andrew Robinson, right? He always plays like the dad and everything later on in life. So then to go back and see this, you know, from growing up, like I didn't see Dirty Harry right away. I saw him in a couple other things. Then to go back and see him in this, it was a bit of a trip. I got to admit, it's almost like seeing Jeff Goldblum in.
Well, he plays this
Death Wish,
nasty
right?
ass Kardashian in Deep Space Nine.
Well, I don't remember him from that so much, but I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, me, I just remember playing the dad in a lot of things, or like, I think I even might have seen Hellraiser, maybe. No, I seen this before Hellraiser, but yeah. Anyway, this is yours, Andy. Go ahead.
This prevented me from ever liking Andrew Robinson anything again. I could not stop seeing him as this bad guy. He was so slimy and so evil and so just horrible. I every time I looked at him, I could just I would see that face with those manic eyes, with the and that like. And the thing that always stuck with me is when Harry sticks the knife in his leg and he goes, "Oh!"
I used that in the intro on purpose. Yes.
Oh man, that was so great. Like, and you couldn't wait for this guy to die. And then like full circle at the very end where he reaches for the gun and Harry, boom, just gets him. And that's the end of it. Oh man, talk about like a villain that you just want to see him get what's coming to him, and when it pays off, it's perfect. And there's never a bit of sympathy for this character ever. Even when he gets the living shit kicked out of him, you're like, yeah. It's like when Harry says he looks too damn good. Yeah, it was. Yeah, man, what a tremendous performance, and to make people hate you that much, that it just every time I saw no matter what part he was looking at, I couldn't distance myself from it. Tremendous performance.
Not only was he evil, Andy, he was a coward.
Yeah.
And it just made you just hated him 10 times more.
Oh yeah.
He just exuded every negative quality that a human can have.
Well,
yeah.
Mo Zamboni in the chat said that the actor got death threats.
Yes.
After this film.
Yeah,
Really?
he was threatened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't really want to do it. They had to practically beg him to do this movie. And the whole reason the director, remind me who it is again, because I know I'm going to feel
Don Siegel.
Don Siegel, thank you. Because he said the whole reason he wanted him is because he was so against type, right? And he because this was also the same time they just had captured what's his face.
Ted Bundy.
Was it? No, it was
Zodiac?
before him. No, that was going on. That's what he was based on. But the other killer they did catch, and he happened to be the good-looking guy, younger kid. And I can't
Ted
remember.
Bundy.
Was it Ted Bundy
Bundy
already at that point? I'm not sure. But I thought he said somebody along those lines. I can't remember.
Was it
Son of Sam? Maybe that was who it was. I think it was Son of Sam.
was not good looking. Ted Bundy was the one.
No, he wasn't good looking, but he looked like the boy next door kind of thing. Like he didn't,
Son of Sam,
unassuming kind of thing. Like they just wanted that like soft looking, like kind of like Midwestern boy kind of look, and that's what he exuded or whatever. And anyway, it's in the making of it. It's a great bit where they talk about how he did not want to do it. And I think I can't remember what they ended up offering him to play it, but it was quite a bit at the time for an actor at his stage. But yeah, but he has said that it has haunted him quite a bit throughout his life. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was Garrick, a Kardashian in Deep Space
Maybe
Nine.
it was. When did they catch Ted Bundy?
Kardashian.
But it's weird how people would have tried to present him as some kind of exaggeration, and yet how many guys do we have now that are constantly they get busted, and you hear they had like 12 priors, and it's like, how the fuck is that guy still on the goddamn street?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And this movie gives you the fucking answer to that shit. And this at that time was just as bad as it is now in that sense. Like,
yeah,
this movie
Except
changed
you couldn't
America.
do what Dirty Harry was doing.
No, but that's
this
what
movie
changed.
this movie had just come out right around the time that Miranda had become policy.
That's true. And you know what else this movie was responsible for?
That.
This movie helped inspire CSI investigation to get more to where you actually had a group of detectives working on serial killer murders instead of just one head detective.
Wow.
Yep. There's a lot of that going, and the 70s is an interesting time. There's so much that happened. It's not, disco was what, 3 to 4 years? That was it. That fad came and went.
Well, it actually lasted a little longer than that.
Well,
but yeah,
the height
of
disco,
probably like
where
77 to
right,
81 ish, probably.
right.
Yeah, 80.
And there was a bunch of stuff that kind of hit after that. You had the whole breakdancing thing and all, these fads coming on. But there was so much, the oil crisis and the economy and just everything that was so bad in the 70s around that time for people in the United States. These films and stuff, they showed something that was happening that was kind of swept under the rug. But what a great performance, a great actor. This is a great pick, Andy.
Yeah, but we're going over time here, so let's keep on moving, as they say.
Well, this is the last one.
This is the last one. This is Gary and mine's last number one, and
Gary
Gary's
had
number 2.
two.
So go ahead, Gary, because I
one.
know you got to leave here soon. So you want to go ahead and speak your piece on this and check out?
Yeah, a lot of us didn't know who this actor was before this movie,
right?
And it's a shame because I would have liked to seen Alan Rickman and all kinds of other things before this, but thank God we finally got him. Geez, I think he was 43 when he did this,
something like that. Yeah,
I mean, what a brilliant man! A very intelligent, calculated, very smart villain. Knew what he was doing and was, 3 steps ahead of everybody the entire way, except for the pain in the ass dude that was stuck in the duct, If it wasn't for him, boy, they would have got away with the crime of the century.
Some cop playing cowboy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, get the Nakatomi Plaza Advent calendar with him falling down. So each of the stories is 25. Oh, man.
Got that, yeah.
I'm glad you picked this.
Yeah. Well, hey, you can't.
I figured he would be on everybody's list, to be honest.
Yeah, I avoided it because I figured it would.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I knew it would get covered. I knew it would be covered. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? I mean, he's kind of like one of the most debonair, kind of like the graduation of what the Bond villains were going to become. Because I mean, up to this point, we had a lot of terrorists and shit, but we never had a terrorist like him. And then, like he says in the movie, who said we were terrorists, right? Like that's the beauty of his character is they're doing terroristic things, but it's for their own selfish means.
Yep.
And he's a great villain, and you love to just watch him play off of all the characters that he plays off of, especially Bruce Willis. In the Bill Clay scene and stuff like that is just brilliant.
Who knew he had so many brothers?
Yeah.
And he was an asshole. Yes, he was.
His brother almost made my list. Damn, it was damn close because I love Die Hard with a Vengeance. To me,
Jeremy Irons.
Those 2 movies are just so simpatico, and making those 2 brothers and how that works out, it just works so brilliantly. It shouldn't, but it does, right? Because again, you have his brother, who even though he's using his brother's death as a guise, it's all for a fucking.
It's all for money.
It's all for money for himself. So again, it's just like his goddamn brother.
Yep.
And he's killing everybody that he doesn't need. I mean, you can just tell. All right, who were their parents?
Exactly. Who the fuck were these kids' parents? Jesus Christ.
That's like, oh my God, you don't have any pudding till you eat all your meat. Oh,
fuck
God.
Yeah. More like, your Brussels sprouts. These kids were pissed.
Oh, and
one
just
cup of pudding. I'm putting it in the middle of the table. Fight for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of parents they were. But yeah, so I don't want to drag on too long, but this guy's pretty much the reason why this list exists. Again, another guy who you can almost go through his top 5 villains or roles because Alan Rickman just, even in bad movies, chews up the scenery. Right?
In the Prince of Thieves or whatever, the Kevin Costner.
Yeah, because I know you don't like it.
But he is so good in that one. That's to say, why are you going to Why a spoon? Because it'll hurt more. You know, oh man, Alan Rickman's so great. God, I wish.
This is the season of miracles.
Yeah, God. You're right, Gary. I wish he'd been around for more.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I would have loved a Galaxy Quest 2, man.
No shit. Well, they're working on one, and
I
I just don't think it's going to be the same.
It's not going to be the
can't.
same.
No, not without
Dogma. Oh man, and Dogma, and
I know.
There's just so much he was in.
He's so great, so fucking great.
Have you seen what was the last thing he did for the BBC? Night Agent or no? Shoot. I can't remember. It was some Cold War thing.
Eye in the Sky?
Maybe.
God, has it really already been that long since he passed? 2016.
Yeah, it's been almost 10 years.
Jesus.
Boy, that was a difficult list. Hard to get through in a 2-hour time frame with that much.
But all right, so I know Gary has to leave us here soon, so I don't want to keep you if you need to go, Gary.
Yeah, I got to get going, guys. But hey, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
It's great.
All right. Well, you take care of yourself, Gary, and we'll hopefully see you next
Gary.
week.
Okay, guys. See you later.
See you, buddy.
Love you, brother. Take care. Are you good still, Scribe, or you got to go? Because we're going to wrap it up anyway. So.
Oh, yeah. If you're wrapping it up, I'm good then.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. So we're good. We got all the list in, and we got a super chat here from iCthulhu who sends in $5 and says the best missing villains: Gregory, Gaslight, Sheriff Teasel. Yes, that's another one that almost made my list. But I almost don't consider him a villain, right? Like you could almost make an argument that he's outside of when he gets too personal with Rambo. There's still times where he's still a likable guy and he's still just trying to do the right thing in certain instances.
You know, Tom, we all know that Rambo is the villain. He's a psychopathic vagrant terrorizing.
He shouldn't be going around dressed like that.
He's a hippie with long hair.
He's
Fucking
terrorizing
hippies.
that poor town and that poor naive,
And Castor Troy.
yes,
I knew Castor Troy. I'm surprised he didn't show up here.
Oh yeah.
Face Off, yeah. And best villain ever, Show Enough, Last Dragon. Yeah, Face Off was one of those that I thought about, but I'm like, man, maybe that falls too far into sci-fi. But fuck it, we're just gonna leave it at that. Yeah, I was hoping Nicolas Cage would have made it on here at least once, but oh well. But with
he
that,
was his own worst enemy in Leaving Las Vegas. So
this was a movie list, not a TV list for people.
That's true.
Saying people didn't make it. It's a movie list.
Yeah, it was just movies, and it was just action hero or action films and dramas, and with a slight sci-fi bend. Okay, but not like
because if it had been sci-fi TV, I'd have had Baltar on here.
The villains couldn't be inhuman was the whole point.
Leaves lots of scope for future lists.
It does indeed. So speaking of future lists, we had a poll going. So hurry up quick and vote in the poll. I was about to close it. I'm going to give you 5, 4, 3, 2. Make your choices now because remember there is a bit of a delay. I'm going to hit the button. And nobody else voted, so we're going to go. And the winner for next week, we're going to talk about movies that deserved a sequel but never got one yet.
Highlander.
Galaxy Quest.
Highlander.
Well, it's such a true statement, though.
So, all right, kids, that's the plan for next week. So, there you go. Movies that deserve a sequel but didn't get one. I don't think there's really much we have to rule up on that one. Since you came up with the list, though, I'll give you the opportunity to set the parameters, Scribe, in the DMs.
Oh,
but from there, let's wrap this up. We'll let you go first, Scribe. What you got going on?
Let's see. I got my usual Thursday night series called TED Excellence with TEDx Bingo, where I take a look at TEDx talks of interesting titles or strange content. And we play along and see what we can discern from those. That's at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. And I also have an ongoing series, which doesn't have a particular set date or anything, as time frames and time zones always get in the way. It's called Living on Borrowed Crime, an interview series where I talk to true crime content creators. Just had my 8th episode about a week or 2 ago now, and working on more for the new year. And that's what I got.
All right. CC.
On Friday nights, I host karaoke. But right now, I'm going to go over to Culture Casino's show right after this.
Yes, this will lead you over there, and I'll probably stop in and say hi. So hopefully I see you guys there, and I'm sure Toxie's going to be heading over there too. Anything else you want to plug, Tox?
Let's see. Monday, we've got the Monday Meltdown on Comics Division's channel. Then Tuesday, you've got, I think, Monday. Are you doing a show 70s on Monday?
Yeah, tomorrow I've got a show. Yeah.
All right, so 70's doing a show on a Monday too. Tuesday, I think Nick's going to be doing a Toxic Tuesday. Wednesday, we got Yelling at Parked Cars over on the Rumble channel. Lots of political stuff going on. Thursday Night Throwdown, and then Thursday afternoon, you got comics playing on Geeks and Gamers Tabletop. And don't forget, you've got Culture Casino with the 6-minute snooze fest. I mean, daily. And Tom does something with Midnight's Edge.
Yes, I got the morning show tomorrow. But
morning tomorrow.
Andy, anything you want to plug?
I got the Laboratory of Mayhem, 1/6 scale figure how-to tutorials and showcases. Also open for commissions. I'll be on Doomcock Show on Wednesday night. Pop Culture Breakdown at 7:30 Central.
All right, Brian. Speaking of, what do you got going on Monday?
Yeah,
And
so tomorrow on my channel, that 70s Rock Fan, we've got an episode of our Cult Comedy Crew series, and we're doing classic British anarchic sitcom The Young Ones is the subject tomorrow. So we should have some fun with that. Lots of clips, which I can play. That will be a lot of fun. And then tomorrow, after that, tomorrow night, obviously Monday night, Meltdown over on Comics Division. So.
Glad to have you and all your sheep.
You
bad timing on that. Anyway, so yes, I'll be on the morning show tomorrow. Going to hop over to Tox's, or I mean CC's here in a minute.
Culture
the other
Casinos,
cultures,
yeah.
the other CC. So yeah, see you guys there. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Great list. Thank you all very much.
Thanks
Good
for
stuff.
being here, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Greed is good. Greed works.
And CC karaoke.
Bingo.
That totally did not turn out the way I wanted it to. Fucked up like 5